going to get started here. We're missing a couple people, but we're going to move on. Good evening again. This is Wednesday, March 21st, 2012. This is our City Council meeting here at 790 Homestead Boulevard. And we're going to have the invocation by Alexis. Let's see, where am I at here? I lost my way. Alexis Talbert, and the Pledge of Allegiance will follow right after that from yours truly. Please rise.
Let us pray. Savior God, especially in this Christian season of Lent, may we recognize that mercy and justice must mingle, that law and compassion must go side by side as we understand what it means to sacrifice and to give for you. I pray, Lord Jesus, a blessing on our council this evening as matters are deliberated. I pray that your presence would be known and that all would come to leave this place glad they came. We thank you. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, and let us keep in our prayers Councilman Elvis Maldonado and his family. At this time, please put your hand over your heart. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Sorry. Let's back up. Please, his floors.
Forward, march. On guard, hold, left face, breathe back, on.
Please join me in paying respect to this great country. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Forward, arms. Right face. Forward, march.
Thank you, Reverend Talbert, for that beautiful remarks. And Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilman Fairclough McCormick? Here. Councilman Maldonado? Absent. Councilman Shelley?
Here.
Councilwoman Waldman? Here. Councilman Williams?
Here.
Vice Mayor Burgess?
Here.
Mayor Bateman?
Here. Okay, we're going to open tonight with public comment, so let's step to the podium and tell us what's on your mind.
Good evening, Ed Powell, 745 Southeast 18th Lane. Personal note to the mayor and the committee, or the council, I am so happy I did not run for city council. And you probably know what that means. Second item, as a member of Kiwanis, and the mayor is a member amongst some other people, we have announced the 37th annual community prayer breakfast, which is held at Harris Field. It's $10. It includes breakfast. We get 700-800 people. It's really not a fundraiser. We basically just want to come out, get the community together, have a little prayer session, and the Homestead Women's Club, they're gracious enough to do the cooking for us. That's Good Friday, 7 o'clock in the morning. Next item, the Military Affairs Committee out at the base meets what they call a meet and greet once a month. It's very successful. Last month, Value Place was a sponsor, and we honored the Golden Knights, the U.S. Army parachute team. Many of the members of the council and mayor have been out there, many of you in the audience. Mrs. Greer is a very faithful occupant out there, and her husband, so we really appreciate it. But if you'd like to come, you got to get on the gate list. If you look here, Homestead Mac at AOL.com. That's my wife. She does all the mailings. Name, cell number to get on the gate list. Love to have you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Powell.
I come up with Mr. Powell because I wanted to also mention that on Good Friday, we will be having a special outdoor service, walking the cross. And we will start at St. John's Episcopal. We will walk to First United Methodist, carrying a cross and stopping, pausing for the 7 stations of the cross. So you can come and get a good breakfast, begin to be spiritually enriched in the morning, and then just carry that right on through to the noon hour. I don't know whether it's appropriate. I have some flyers I'd like to be able to have for you all. All right. And the other thing I'd like to talk about too, and Mary, you've brought this up for me to talk about in the past, I think, is the Homestead Food Pantry. The Homestead Food Pantry happens to be housed at First United Methodist Church, but this is an organization that gathers food from lots of different places. I kid you not when I tell you that the average number of families that we provide food for on a weekly basis is 415. That's our average. Sometimes it's more than that, sometimes it's less. It's 3 days worth of grocery. So if you are part of an organization or part of a business that would like to be more involved in the Homestead Food Pantry, I want to encourage you to contact First United Methodist Church, and we'll get you to the right person. We always are looking for food to be able to give out. We'd love to be able to give 5 days worth of food out, but at this point we're at 3 days. And fresh and frozen is fabulous as well. That's always a great treat and a joy to give out. Food Pantry is open on Saturday mornings from 9 until noon. If you would like to come and be a part of that, you want to get there around 8:30 or so, and I guarantee we will put you to work. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Pastor Thomas.
Good evening. My name is Yvonne Knowles. I'm the Director of Homestead Main Street. Thank you so much for support of our Homestead El Gusto event. Homestead El Gusto is coming back to Homestead on Saturday, April 21st from 6 p.m. until 10 o'clock in the evening. We have 15 food trucks showing up. This is our food truck invasion. We bring the food trucks in from all over. How many people have been to a food truck invasion downtown Homestead? Oh, that's great to see. Thank you. It has been really, really an amazing phenomenon. We're so pleased with the turnout. We're so pleased with the support from the community, and very definitely grateful for the support from the City of Homestead. Thank you so much for that. We are going to have a stage set up on Chrome Avenue. We're going to have Main Highway, the band coming to play. We're ratcheting up a little bit this time. We're going to make it, we had 800 people in the street last time. We think with the music and our Chef's Challenge is going to be around the produce coming. There's not much produce in April, so we had to get creative, and we're working with Peter Schnebley out at Schnebley Winery. Those who don't know, he's just got a new brewery going, and he's making tropical fruit beer, which boggles me. For a German, that's really hard for me to understand, but we're gonna try it out, and we're gonna make some amazing dishes with our Chef's Challenge to complement his tropical beer. So come down to Homestead, Chrome Avenue on April the 21st, starting at 6 o'clock, and have a lovely evening. We look forward to seeing you all there. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I'm just going to stand off to the side.
You want to get the microphone?
Good evening. My name is Kristen Quinn, and I am here today on behalf of Good Hope of West Main Training Center. Thank you so much for providing me the opportunity to speak to you today on behalf of our 2012 Charity Concert Independence Fest to benefit our Horses Helping Heroes program for veterans returning from Iraq and Afghanistan. The event will take place on Saturday, March 31st from 12 p.m. to 6 p.m. at Dodge City, located at 16330 Southwest 147th Avenue. The cost is $20 per adult, $30 per couple, and $10 per child under the age of 12. The MC for this event will be Mr. Jimmy Cephalo, former Miami Dolphins player, who will be featuring this event on his radio talk show. The event will also feature country, bluegrass, and rock music from the following artists: Mr. Colton James, Grandpa's Cough Medicine, Hat Trick, and Cat 5. Thank you so much, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your evening.
Thank you. I'm just going to make some noise, Susie. Just bend her up there.
Hi, I'm Susie Vega, 29510 Southwest 194 Avenue. Thank you for inviting me. I'm here to talk about Swim for Jenny. About a year ago, we had a little girl in Homestead drown, and she did not know how to swim. And it's been a tragedy in our family because my son was her best friend. So, of course, when your son is grief-stricken, you try to find ways to overcome it. So we decided to do something. So we wanted to do a spaghetti dinner or do something to benefit, in her honor. Well, it turned out to be this massive outpouring from the community. I spoke with the director of parks for Miami-Dade, and he has asked us to champion a Learn to Swim program for Miami-Dade because all of the funding that was provided previously has been cut through all of their budget cuts. So there is no more swimming lessons provided in Miami-Dade County at no charge. So we've created Swim for Jenny as a memorial fund in her honor, and our first event will be at Deering Estate, April 18th. It's $50 a person, but we're really want to make awareness. I think we have enough corporate sponsorship there, but we want to have an awareness program in the city of Homestead, and we want to partner with the city of Homestead as well as ask the council to make recommendations for the pools in this area so we can provide scholarships to those children to learn how to swim. It'll all be funded through Miami-Dade Parks Foundation, which is a 501(c), and there'll be a process through grants for children to learn how to swim. And at this point, I just wanted to make everybody aware that this program is active, and you can go to swimforjenny.org, and we hope that, that you support our cause.
Thank you very much. I think it's something that we need to get involved in heavily because this was one of our own, and the county has reached out, with open arms. And Susie's one of the main leaders, and I appreciate you coming tonight, Susie, to talk about this, and I'd be willing to help you in every way I can as the mayor. And whatever funds that I have available, I'll be more than happy to help you. Unfortunately, I cannot speak at your event tonight. It's a council night, and I don't think that I'll get done in time. But thank you very much for asking me. And does any council member have questions of Susie at this point? Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
We'll go to work on it.
Kevin Sullivan, 1860 Southeast 6th Court. I'm here tonight just to ask a question. Several months ago, there was two very, very articulate young men came in to talk about need of sidewalks on their way to school. They even had a plan. It was one of the best presentations. I'm not slamming any of the attorneys in the audience here tonight, but it was a very, very well put together talk. So my question is, after watching them the other day in the rain, walking in the middle of the road with no sidewalks, where are we on the sidewalks?
Very good question. The conversation took place today with, well, he's not here, Dennis McCann and I had a good conversation today about it. We're underway, and at least in one area, I believe 162. Dennis, are you here? Oh, he's in the back fixing the AC. Okay. Anyway, to answer your question, we've had a discussion, Mr. Manager. He's not here. We had a good discussion today. It's going to happen. It's in the works, I can tell you. And it's more than just one area. It's more than just Farm Life Road. There are areas that we need to continue to connect to get these children safely to school and home. So we're working on it, and I'll give you an update. Can you update us?
Mayor and Council, I can elaborate a little bit on that. We're right now in the process of doing the surveys to make sure that we're within the existing right-of-ways for doing the sidewalks, but you're absolutely right that as soon as we get those surveys in, and it's like 4 or 5 locations that we're doing once those come in, the work will begin immediately afterwards, and we're going to use city staff to do the work.
And maybe at this time I'll piggyback on your concerns, that not only sidewalks, but the street resurfacing. If you notice, all of Campbell Drive is, from 162 to US 1 is being redone. And there are other county streets that will take place also and being resurfaced at least and restriped. Can you update us someone on it, please? Priya?
Sure, Mayor and Council, yes, the Campbell Drive paving will be completed probably in a couple of weeks. I don't expect it to go further than that. After that, the county has already sent out inspectors out to look at other existing roadways throughout the city to see in what condition they're in, and they've identified 4 other locations, continuing on Campbell Drive, Flagler Street, another portion of Maury Drive. So all those will be coming back to us basically in the order that, based on the condition, which ones they're going to do first, but we expect for them to continue working in the city for quite a while.
And it's appropriate this time to compliment Commissioner Bell and Dennis Moss both. As about 6-7 months ago, the manager and I and Mr. Bria sat with her aide, Commissioner Bell's aide, and they went to work on moving some of these dates up, because the dates for resurfacing were not now. But Campbell was in such poor shape, such dangerous shape, that they moved them up, and kudos to the county, and thank you, Commissioner Bell and Commissioner Moss. And thank you for asking those questions, because it's questions like that that keep us moving. And if you look around town right now, not only resurfacing is happening, sidewalks are happening, new landscapes happening, new buildings are going up, Homestead's on the move. Thank you. Yes, ma'am. You want to do that?
I feel weird up here during public comments. My name is Chrissy Thompson. I'm at 2720 Northeast 3rd Drive. I'm actually up here tonight for a personal topic. I was born with a rare disease called osteogenesis imperfecta. Osteogenesis imperfecta is a genetic disease, also known as brittle bones. Just means that my bones break very easily. The number of Americans affected with OI is thought to be between 25,000 to 50,000, and the reason why the number is the range is so large is because a lot of there's different types of the disease, but a lot of the type 1s, which is what I am, goes undiagnosed for a long time. You just break bones and you think you just break bones. But because of Missy here, Missy is my friend, I no longer feel alone with my disease. It's rare. I thought I was the only one in the world that had it. I was born in Hawaii. When I was in Hawaii and breaking the bones, they didn't know what was going on. And we came here, the next step, when I was 2. I broke my femur bone. I went to what used to be the Air Base Hospital over there, and they actually started charging my parents with child abuse. But then the head of the hospital actually came down and said, no, this child has OI. So that's when I was diagnosed with it. They did the tests, and sure enough, that's what I had. So because of Missy, I'm no longer alone, because she has brought a group of us together for South Florida, and she has created a South Florida group called Unbreakable Spirits for Unbreakable Bones. And we're here tonight because we need to spread the word of the awareness and inform you guys of a few events that are coming up. And the reason why I chose to do it during the council meeting is because Councilwoman Judy Waldman is assisting us during this, and she's helping us get Homestead involved. And because of that, what we would like to do is invite the council. We have a banquet coming up, and we're doing the banquet as a fundraiser, so anybody can buy tickets to the banquet, but we are inviting you guys because you guys are allowing us to get Homestead out there to the banquet on April 20th, and I have tickets for every one of you, and as well as Dennis Maytan, who is helping us out with giving us a park, because we're going to have walk and wheel events on May 19th at Mayor Roscoe Warren Park. The time and everything is going to be worked out, but you'll hear more about it coming up. On the screens here is the 2 different events. The blue tie, we call it the blue tie banquet because we're known as the blue group. The bone disease is, the color is blue. But it's like a ball, And the tickets are $50 for adults, $25 for children 12 and under, and we will have a silent auction. If you guys have anything that you want to donate to the silent auction, please contact me. I actually work for the city, so you just call the city and ask for Christy. They'll locate me. And the reason why we need to raise money, we're raising money for the group. There's a small group of us. About how many of us are there? There's 45. There's 45 of us. And that's actually a lot. It's really good. We have needs. Some of you are seeing me in my wheelchair for the first time. I've actually been able to walk for years and years and years. I was supposed to be in a wheelchair at age 12, but we fought it, and my bones lately have just been disintegrating more rapidly, and to walk and stand is very hard for me. I am actually getting an electric wheelchair very soon, thanks to my insurance. However, they did not pay for the lift for my vehicle, which is very, very expensive. So these are some of the things that the funds will help us out with, and as well as we have a national conference coming up. So to help us all go to the national conference, these are some of the funds. So anyway, the event is April 20th at 7 p.m. at the Grand Salon Reception Hall in Kendall. If you're interested, the numbers are on the screens. Also, if you call the city and ask for Christy, I can get you to it. The next walk and wheel event is going to be at Mayor Wasco Warren Park on May 19th. I know it's the day after the relay, but you go to the relay, and after you finish the relay, then just head on over to the Mayor Wasco Warren Park. And then the next one will be on October 4th at Zoo Miami. So that's going to be cool too. If you haven't checked out the Mayor Wasco Warren Park, you have to. That park is totally awesome. I guess that's it. I touched on everything. I'm sorry it took so long, but thank you for your consideration and your time. And now all of you guys know what OI is. So thank you.
Thank you, Christy.
Mayor?
Yes.
Can I just comment on? I just want to say, Christy, you've been fighting this wheelchair for a long time.
Yeah.
So,
Don't do it. I was fighting the crime. Don't do it.
Yeah.
well,
Keep this positive.
she's a wonderful girl, and she has been fighting it. So, if you have door prizes or any kind of auction items, or you just want to be a sponsor, I know working with My Little Angels and Greer's in the audience tonight, and Ed, they're both on our board, and we know what it's like for the children, but we also have adults, who need help, and just getting that wheelchair into the car is really difficult. So if we can help, please dig down deep. And I know money's scarce right now, but if you have websites or email that you can help spread the word, I really would appreciate it. Thanks to both of you.
Yes.
How much are your tickets? You gave us tickets, but yeah, but what's the cost of it? See, because we have to report this kind of stuff.
It's $5,000.
Okay. Okay. All right.
Okay, thank you. Any further public comment? Okay. We have next item. We're going to move into additions, deletions, deferrals. Mr.
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
Sure.
One modification on the agenda. This evening, before we hear tab 6, we need to hear tab 8. It's the future land use map amendment. We'll need to hear that, which is tab 8, prior to the rezoning, which is tab 6. So if we'll just can take that out of order this evening.
Okay. Thank you. All right. Special presentations. Mr. Burgess, Vice Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor. It's with an honor tonight for me to introduce somebody who has taken upon themselves to run for county judge. Ms. Tanya Brinkley is here tonight with us, and I've met her several times at the League of Cities dinners and all, and I was impressed with her and what she stands for. So I asked her to come down tonight and introduce herself to the great city of Homestead, so that when the people go to vote in August, they'll know who they're voting for, because 9 out of 10 times when the judges are up for a vote, people don't even know the name. They just pick whatever name looks best to them. So I felt it was a good opportunity for her to come down and introduce herself, and here she is tonight, so thank you.
Thank you so much, Vice Mayor Burgess. Thank you so much, Mayor, Council, residents. Thank you for having me here tonight. It's certainly an honor and a privilege to have this opportunity to speak to the residents of the City of Homestead. As you all know, this is a county-wide race. My name is Tanya Brinkley. I'm running for County Court Judge. I've been a practicing attorney for 16 years, excuse me. I've been in this community for 20 years. I'm a graduate of the University of Miami Law School. Previously attended Howard University in Washington, D.C. For the past 16 years, I've owned and operated my own practice and representing average members of the community, such as yourself, in matters of family law as well as criminal defense. In addition to that, for the past 8 years, I've been a civil traffic infraction hearing officer. And what that means is it's essentially a quasi-judicial position where you do a lot of the same jobs that are done by county court judges, which means you consider the testimony presented by people before you, you make decisions, you apply the law. And in doing that, one thing that I learned that's very important is that people want to know that they can trust our judiciary to maintain integrity, to be fair, and to apply the law. Most importantly, to listen. And after operating my practice for 16 years, and again, representing average members of the community, the one thing that I learned that was so important is that when people come before you and have their day in court, they want to know that they have a judiciary who is listening and who understands that the issues that we consider and the rulings that we make affect their lives and affect their lives very significantly. They want to be treated with respect. And as a practitioner, I understood what the concerns were of community members and of the people that I represented when they appeared in court. And so that's what was important to me, to ensure that I would treat people with respect and be fair. And I've done that for the past 8 years as a traffic magistrate. In addition to that, I've gone through the Judicial Nominating Commission. The Judicial Nominating Commission serves this community to help with judicial appointments of judges. There are two ways that you can become a judge in this community. One is by election, the other is by judicial appointment. What's helpful for members of this community in the judicial appointment process is you can trust that I've been vetted by a very competitive process. They go through your experience, your background, your reputation, if in fact you have the proper demeanor to be a judge. It's very important. A lot of us are very smart, we're very experienced, but do you have the proper disposition and the demeanor to be able to handle all sorts of situations that you'll be faced with? And will you be fair and patient? And the Judicial Nominating Commission decided many times over for me, and I've been nominated for appointment for County Court Judge for the last 9 appointments. Unfortunately, I haven't been appointed. I'm still going through the process, but you can trust that I've been vetted and that the Judicial Nominating Commission has determined that I am qualified. So I am asking for your support on August 14th. Vice Mayor Burgess was correct when he said that generally when people vote for judges, they don't know who to vote for. And they don't know who to vote for because we can't speak on issues. Unlike politicians, we can't make promises as to what our rulings will be or what our positions are as to certain issues. So what I ask that you look for is experience, demeanor, patience, respect, and integrity. Again, my name is Tanya Brinkley. I'm running for County Court Judge. The election is on August 14th. Please feel free to visit my website, which is TanyaBrinkleyForJudge.com. I'd be very honored to have your support. I can't run a victorious race and be able to serve this community without your support, so I'd be honored to have your support. Thank you so much for having me here today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Shelley, Councilman.
Thank you, Mayor. For the months of March and April, the Artists in the Chambers program the next 2 months will be Jessica Uhaki. Jessica was born in James Archer Smith Hospital, Homestead. She attended Sacred Heart Catholic School, Homestead Senior High, and later enrolled in Miami-Dade Community College in 1998, where she therefore found her love and passion for the arts. She was then awarded a full-paid scholarship to the Ringling School of Art and Design in Sarasota, Florida. In 2003, she became photo editor and contributor to Miami Magazine and was part of the 37th Annual Student Exhibition Show. In 2006, she was awarded a scholarship to New World School of Arts in Miami and exhibited her work in the Museo Gallery Art Basel in both 2008 and in 2009. In 2009, she also graduated with honors from the University of Florida, go Gators, And in 2011, she co-opened a restaurant named Chefs on the Run on Mallory Drive in Homestead, Florida, where you can also see some of her work. And at this point, I'd like to invite Jessica to come up here and tell a little bit about her work, correct the pronouncing of her name if I messed that up, and kind of get an idea of what inspires you, what led you to create your work, and also let people know where they can find your work, either a website, contact information in case they're interested in purchasing it.
As far as a website, I don't have one yet. You can see my work, like you said, at Chefs on the Run, or here. It'll be here for, I think, another month. As far as what inspires me to do my work, I would say it's therapeutical. So I don't do if somebody's interested in buying it, they can speak to me personally. They can find me at Chefs on the Run. They can email me at weareart6@gmail.com. But other than that, my work, I've always had a camera since I was like 3. I've always had a camera. So that to me was very therapeutical, and I love fine art. So I did write something. So I chose to show my work in simple white mats instead of framing them all, because the room is pretty dynamic and spectacular by itself. I didn't want to make it seem overcrowded, so I chose to show my early work right now, what you're seeing. My silver gelatins are from Florence and from Virginia, and my color is, okay, so I believe my work is better seen in sequence to be better understood. My work is always and has been about the residue that life has on us and the phantom limbs to places and things. Our memories are the substance to who we are. So I try to capture that in the lens. This is why I choose to photograph why I do. As an artist, I chose my subjects that will make you part of your world instead of you being defined by it. For example, the chair that you sat on and you never thought twice about when you left it, or the fire escape you always passed by and never realized how beautiful these things really are. And my color or the way your skin, in all of us, has a similar skinscape. A skinscape, I say, because it's a landscape when you look at your skin, but it's incredibly different. How a slight tear in a t-shirt and the gesture of hands on the face, and how beat to hell the subject really was in one of these. Even with my bigger work, I want to show how small everyday moments seem insignificant, but are really huge and similar in all our lives. My purpose is to show that we are all similar, and my artist's statement always is to pay more attention. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay. Councilwoman Wallman.
Still looking at the artwork. Beautiful, Jessica.
Beautiful.
Absolutely beautiful. At this time, I'd like to introduce my dear friend, my really good friend, Greer Elaine Wallace. And Greer is running for Circuit Court Judge. This is the time of year when everybody is being introduced. And on a personal note, I just want to say that I've worked with Greer on many projects over the years. Her husband and I graduated from high school together, share the same birthday, so we're family friends. But this woman is phenomenal. She is the phenomenal woman. And she doesn't just say she's going to do something and sign up. She actually does it. And I can say that her charitable work is just amazing. And just this Christmas, we shared many, many moments. But this is now Miss Greer Wallace, who's running for an office, and I'd just like to introduce her and say thank you. And if you could explain the difference between circuit judge and county judge. We were just having a discussion up here, but please, now's your time.
Thank you so much. I am humbled and certainly very appreciative, Councilwoman Wallman, for your invitation to me to appear tonight, and I appreciate it. And thanks to you, Mayor Bateman, and all of the council. Many of you I've known over the years. We've been friends, and I do appreciate this opportunity to present myself and my campaign to the residents of the city of Homestead. I will start by responding to Councilwoman Waldman's request that I explain the difference between county and circuit. As Tanya explained, she's running for a county court judge position. I am running for a circuit court judge position. And I think the best way I can explain the difference to you is to explain that the circuit court, whenever there has been a presentation by litigants before county court judges, it's the circuit court that will sit for purposes of the appeal to determine whether or not that decision was the appropriate one. In addition, the kind of matters that circuit court judges consider include in family law, divorces, child support, custody, your juvenile delinquency cases, your child protective services cases, otherwise known as juvenile dependency law, your more serious criminal cases. So that's a basic distinction between your county judges and your circuit judges. The qualifications basically for either, before you can become a judge, you have to have at least 5 years experience, and that's true whether you're running for the county court or the circuit court. Well, to give you something, a little something regarding my background, I have been practicing law for 32 years in this community. I've been a member of this community for 26 years, and when I say this community, I mean the Florida City Homestead community, because we are one community. We're sister cities. We work together often. We're involved and concerned about many of the same issues. And as Councilwoman Waldman explained, I have been active in local community projects. I'm presently on the Little Angels board with Councilwoman Waldman. I'm also a member of the Seminole Theater board, and there are other things that are not directly related to this community, but I'm also on the board of We Care of South Dade, which is the umbrella parent organization that coordinates the activities of the social service agencies that present services to the needy families of our community. With regard to my 32 years of practice, I can tell you that my passion has been protecting children. I spent many years as a Department of Health and Rehabilitative Services prosecutor of child abuse and neglect cases. From there, I went to the Guardian Ad Litem program, where I represented volunteer advocates who spoke up in court for children who were abused and neglected. I also represented the Department of Health and Rehabilitative Services at South Florida Evaluation and Treatment Center, which was a facility for the criminally insane. After leaving that employment, I started my own practice 15 years ago in Florida City. I've always been based in Florida City. And in my practice, I have had cases and covered cases in the various areas of the law that have included criminal law, juvenile dependency or child protective services, probate, guardianship, civil cases, both small claims court as well as the more serious cases. And I say that to say there's no doubt that I'm knowledgeable about the law and experienced. But knowledge and experience are not enough. Judges do need to be compassionate. They need to be patient. They need to be honest. They need to listen to people. And over the years of my practice, I have heard stories from the least among us, okay, the most vulnerable members of the community. Currently in my practice, I'm on the court-appointed wheel for people who can't afford to hire their own attorneys, and I represent people who have been downtrodden and have really had many hardships in life. If I'm elected, I would like to continue with my passion pursuing and representing or handling cases in which children are protected. However, with my background, I am experienced and I'm ready to serve. I want to serve wherever the Chief Judge sees fit to actually place me. So I'm making a commitment to you tonight that once elected, and I am claiming victory, okay? Once elected, I will be honest, I will be fair, I will listen to the issues, I will make rulings that will be based on the law as well as what the right thing to do is, as opposed to who the parties are and whether or not any decision might be popular or unpopular. And with that, I'd like to reiterate, the election is August 14th. It is a countywide race. Any registered voter in Miami-Dade County can vote for me. I'd appreciate your support, and I pledge to make you proud and a judge that this community can be proud of.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
If you think it's hot out there, you should be up here with the lights. That's all I can tell you. Ms. Smith, would you join me, please? Hi. This is Juanita Smith. She is the past vice mayor and commissioner for Florida City for how many years?
27 years.
27 years. And not only has she been a dedicated public servant, but she's also a dedicated volunteer. And I have a little something for her tonight. But first, I'd like for you to tell a little bit about the soup kitchen.
First, I want to say to the council that thank you so much for the donation from the CRA. That means a lot to us. That means that we have funds to feed the people for at least another 4 or 5 months. And then I want to just say this, that Councilwoman Walderman took over the responsibility of our Christmas party. Most of you don't think that we have children, but homeless people have children too, you know, and they leave them at the soup kitchen. I want to thank her for taking the Christmas program and bringing so many toys to over 300 children, and she went to Fort Lauderdale and talked to White Sirota, and Heffernan Law Firm, and got me $1,000. I want you to clap for that. $1,000 is a lot of money when you have people to feed and you don't have anything. You see, we don't have a budget, and all we have is what you give as a citizen, a church, a school, or an individual. And in giving it, you're giving it so that those migrants and those homeless people who don't have anything can come in and eat 3 times a week. Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. I want to invite you to come by and see where your money is being used. And remember that Easter is right around the corner, and no later than the 30th of this month. I'd like for some of you to leave some raw Easter eggs so that we can cook them on the 7th of April for the children that are going to come. What did I say? Don't forget to bring some eggs to
30th.
Councilwoman Walderman's office by what day? April the
30th.
No, March the 30th.
I need an ice chest.
That's right. But you just bring, you won't have that many. Just bring some eggs to Councilwoman Walderman's office by March the 30th so that we can cook them on April the 6th and serve them on April the 7th. And thank you very much. We appreciate it. We love you, and we're sure you love us.
Thank you, Vice Mayor.
And Greer, are you ready? This is new to us, but we're happy to do that. And are you going to color the eggs?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So you hear that, folks? I need eggs. And I need an ice chest in my budget because we don't want the eggs to go bad. But I'd like to present to you a certificate of appreciation. This certificate is awarded to the Homestead Soup Kitchen. You're welcome. For your entire dedication and commitment to serving those in need. Thank you for the many years of service provided to our most vulnerable citizens, and the City of Homestead salutes you. And this is presented this 21st day of March by Mayor Stephen Bateman, Vice Mayor John Burgess, and the rest of the council. So congratulations, Juanita. You're our little angels. You are the angels.
Hold it. Don't clap. Wait, let me tell you something. I became involved with the Homestead Soup Kitchen in 1995 after having taught in Dade County Public School 31 years. If you old people want to live after you retire, Get yourself involved with some children or some needy people, and it'll keep you going on and on and on. Sure. I am now 84, but remember, when I started, I wasn't. And you can do it too. You don't have to die. You can work and help somebody else, and then you'll get plenty of energy. Thank you so much.
And I want to be your manager and sell your vitamins because no one can keep up with her. Let's get a little picture here, okay?
Go ahead, Councilwoman Fairclough.
Right on the back down. Okay.
Commissioner Smith, before you leave, Commissioner Smith, you step back to the podium. I just would like to give you some kudos. I think you're a phenomenal woman. I really have a tender spot for individuals who give of themselves unhesitantly and unselfishly for the benefit of others. So I don't mind donating eggs and funds to help support your cause, but I think it's more important that I donate my time. So I'm not just coming to see what's going on, I'm coming to serve. So my teacher planning days and during the summer, you can count on me to come over there and assist you to help serve the members of this community.
Very good. I'm glad you mentioned that because we're not paid. Nobody's paid. Right. We don't get anything. So we need you to come to help cook, and then serve it, and then clean up after you finish. Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays from 8:30 until 1:30. But you'll have the joy of your life when you see people coming through and they say thank you. And when you see them coming through and they don't have enough. Oh, by the way, we also need clothing, you know. They don't come in their nudes. They come in, they have to have clothes. So if you have clothing, your children have clothing, you have clothing, bring it to the soup kitchen. We give it to them. We bring them socks. We love to have you. All this year, all we've had are just volunteers like you. And only you can make this a success. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Councilman Williams.
Yes. Thank you so much, Mayor and council members. It gives me great pleasure to introduce or reintroduce to some of you who may not know him, Dr. James Bush III. He has served 5 terms, over 10 years in the Florida House of Representatives, mostly the Liberty City area, but he comes to offer himself for service in the Florida State Senate, and that area now comprised of, after the maps have been drawn up, now comprised of Homestead, the area in which he will probably be representing. And so I've invited him tonight. He's a graduate of Bethune-Cookman College, and I've invited him tonight to come share with us who he is, why he's running, and to introduce to most of you in our community, Dr. James Bush III.
Thank you, Councilman Williams. And first, let me just say, Mr. Mayor and all of the other council, with men as well as women on the dais, and to all of you, it's an honor to be here and to have this privilege to come and to introduce myself over the airways to the citizenry here at Homestead. But let me just say, I have to piggyback or concur with the mayor when I got off the turnpike, Mr. Mayor, and I just looking at all of the new construction going up. It brought me back into the 90s when I served in the Florida legislature, and when Hurricane Andrew came through this area, we wanted to make sure that South Miami or South Bay would be rebuilt. So at that time I was working with the Reverend Jesse Jackson in the civil rights area, so we brought national attention in here to make sure that FEMA did not forget us and money would come down from the federal level, as well as working with state and local officials to make sure monies came so we can rebuild this area. And I worked very diligently in Tallahassee to make sure that we brought monies back for Hurricane Andrew when I was a state rep for 10 years in the Florida House. But let me just say very quickly, because I know this is not my day, this is your meeting time, and I will be very brief in my remarks. I see so many friends out here, Pastor
Sullivan and certainly Councilman Williams, I have to say also Pastor and Reverend Williams. We are honored to be here and to say that we are ready now to provide our leadership, not only in this area, and this is like being home. I've been preaching in Homestead, Florida City, all the way in this area for the last 15 years. So when I'm here on this end, I'm home. Okay, so it's not like you are dealing with a novice or a stranger in Homestead, in Florida City, as well as the other surrounding areas. Let me just also emphasize that as a future senator, I would like to just work along with the city lobbyists or your representatives when you come to Tallahassee for those dollars to bring back to this city so that you can provide the kind of services for the citizenry of Homestead. And certainly I will be a strong advocate in making sure that Homestead is not excluded out of the budgetary process when that process starts. And let me commend Homestead, especially your CRA, when you talk about providing opportunities for the homeless, and certainly Ms. Juanita Smith, the former vice mayor, who have taken the position of feeding the homeless. I just think that is a remarkable thing, and I want to make a commitment, as I've already spoke to you privately, I'll say it publicly, that when my time free up, I will come and also help to work with you and to serve the homeless on this end as well. I think it's a remarkable thing. I think it's something that you doing because the master has instructed you to do that. And again, I want to take this opportunity to thank you for giving me this privilege. And there's many, many other issues that I can get into, Mr. Mayor. I remember, 15 years ago, when I served on the Community Action Agency Board, we dealt with many issues on this end. I don't know if you still have your water issue, but water was a main problem back then, and that was almost 15 years ago. And certainly I will be committed when I'm in Tallahassee to make sure that any dollars that can make its way to Homestead to address that issue will certainly be one of my priorities. And then a lot of other things that are going on now in the state, such as education as a top priority. We certainly got to make sure that that profession stays honorable to the young and the future generation, so that they don't get discouraged for what they are seeing in terms of public education. So as a 30-year school teacher, I'm in my 30th year now, I will certainly be a strong advocate, as I've been in the past, for public education, and to make sure that teachers are treated with the highest respect and regards in terms of the profession. Again, thank you, Councilman Williams, for giving me this opportunity, and thank you, Homestead citizens, for listening to me. And on August the 14th, you make that decision in terms of the sweat equity over the last 25, 30 years I have put out in this community. I'll just leave you with this analogy. My wife and I, we've been married now, Mr. Mayor, February the 9th. I know the date. February the 9th was 32 years. And the only thing I said to her when I took her out on our anniversary meal, I said, you know what you have with me. And I'll say to the Homestead citizens, for 30 years I've been in this community, you know what you have with me, and you can make that decision on August the 14th by voting for me to become your next senator for this district. Again, thank you for this privilege.
Thank you. Let me say just a couple of things to you. First, welcome home. Thank you. And you got some big shoes to fill. We've had some good representation, without a doubt, and you know that.
Oh, yes.
And I wish you the best.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mayor.
And last but not least, the man who carries the water for us on a regular basis, and I'm telling you, my 3 trips to Tallahassee this year, I ended up in his office and getting the results. And that's none other than our state representative, right, Dwight Bullard.
That's right.
Please come up, Dwight. If you don't get results in his office, then you would go to his mother's office and you'd get the results.
That is a privilege, right? I do want to first and foremost thank the mayor and council publicly. Oftentimes Folks don't get a chance to see how the process goes, and Tallahassee is a very rapid one, very fast-paced, 2-month session. And your mayor and council have been absolute champions for the issues here at home. I can't say enough. The mayor alluded to three visits just to my office. That doesn't really quantify the total number of trips that he made to Tallahassee on behalf of the people of Homestead. At some point during the session, I have literally seen every member of the council. And you do have an amazing group of civic leaders here in Chambers. So definitely want to give you a round of applause, and a much deserved round of applause, please, for your advocacy. With that being said, definitely won't hold the mic long. Tough session. I think really sums it up in two words. Very tough session, very tough circumstances, but as you know, you have the full-on commitment of not only myself but my mother in terms of how we advocate on behalf of South Dade, Homestead in particular. And you know that we look under every stone, we'll turn over every rock to make sure that the people of Homestead and Florida City and South Dade in general maintain and have good representation. And it's been my privilege for the last 4 years to hold the District 118, which has really been my home, period, for the last 30-plus years. And if the time is right to make this statement, I hope my good friend Dr. Bush doesn't mind making room on the ballot for other folks. To also, I will be running for the Florida State Senate to continue representing. The mayor alluded to some shoes that need to be filled, and those shoes are some size 8.5 pumps. I don't wear pumps, don't plan on wearing pumps, but those shoes that need to be filled are those of my mother, who's been, by all means, an absolute champion, absolute champion for the people of South Dade now, going on 20 years of service here in this community. We are, and when I say we, collectively the Bullards, myself, my father, and my mother, no other place than South Dade. Oftentimes we will talk about areas being near and dear to their heart. We have an absolute commitment to seeing that things are done right by the people of this area, and hopefully you'll be granted the opportunity to continue to do so. So thank you again for being such strong advocates and proactive participants in the political process up in Tallahassee. And thank you again for allowing me to have the mic. I did get a chance to pass around copies of my March newsletter. A lot of you should have copies of that. And that just really gives you a snippet of some of the important things going on. I do want to make one plea to everybody here who believes in the value of education. On March 27th at Terra Educational Research Institute, the State Board of Education will be meeting. This is one of the first times the State Board of Education is going to be meeting in Dade County, period. And the fact that they're that far south of Flagler is a telltale sign to me that everyone with a means to get there needs to be at that meeting, because some of the issues that we're being confronted with are some of the very issues that strike at the heart of why education as we know it is important, and why we need advocates, community activists, politicos, office holders, former office holders, and community activists to get out there at 9 a.m. on March 27th at Terra Research Institute, because they need to hear your voice and they need to understand why education is important. And I know no other legislative body that has put education on their backs than this council, this mayor, and made in terms of making sure that education is paramount. So wanted to make that brief announcement. Thank you again.
Thank you, sir. A couple questions, yes?
No, just a comment, Representative Bullard. I just like to commend you for all that you do, and Rep is also an educator. And as you're aware, I'm an educator as well. And when it comes to education and advocating for what's in the best interest of our students, I am passionate and I am persistent. But I think the state rep has me beat. Because when I witnessed him on the floor debating about education and advocating for our children, and when I went to Tallahassee and worked to defeat Senate Bill 6, Bullard was on that panel when I testified in front of the Pre-K-12 Policy Council, and we ultimately defeated that bad bill. So thank you for all that you do. I thought I was good, but you're great. So on March 27th, I'll be there at Terra as I traveled overnight to defeat Senate Bill 6, or I'll be there on March 27th to advocate for the kids in Miami-Dade County as well as in the city of Homestead.
Thank you. And we can't let you go. You can't leave without a message from this council to your mother, because she was incredible this last session. I know her closing remarks. I heard, saw briefly, but heard more about them. They were 30, 45 minutes, maybe an hour long, and they said that they were incredible. And she's an incredible lady, and I can tell you she worked hard for us. This next month, first of the month, we have a state representative coming down from the Turnpike Authority who's going to look at a second alternative or a second on and off ramp for us. And it was your mom that actually had her sitting there waiting when I walked in for my 1 o'clock appointment. And you couldn't go no higher than what she had there unless you had the governor sitting there or lieutenant governor sitting there. So you thank her again for us, and you tell her we love her and enjoy her retirement, please.
Thank you. I'll definitely relay the message. Thank you.
Okay, did we miss anyone? All right, moving right along, and we're going to go into discussion of the bowling alley discussion, and I want to start off with actually staff report to get us going on this.
Mayor, we at the last meeting, we had several. I guess we had 3 entities that were interested in the bowling alley site. The direction from the council at that meeting was for each of them to come back with a proposal for the council to consider. We had, last week we received a proposal from PERT. At the time of the meeting, Bird Bowl had said that their proposal was before you. And then the third entity, we received a letter saying that they had decided not to submit a formal proposal. And then this afternoon, I'd say around 5 o'clock, we received a proposal from Bird Bowl. And so I think each of the entities are here to discuss, or a combination thereof. So if it's your will, each of them can come up and kind of explain what their proposals are. And then you can give some direction to the staff on how to proceed.
Thank you. Any special order you want me to take these in? Somebody step up. First person. Excuse me, but I forget each one of you. I know.
Thank you. My name is David Chung, Office on 1 North Chrome here in Homestead. Thank you. Yeah. Let's start with this. I mean, we know we work with Peer Corp. We were here last month. We talked about that. We know that we specialize in, turning around, distressed assets. To clarify, they're distressed, and they could be vacant. They could be anything like that. We got our eyes on the bowling alley, saw an opportunity to make some things happen. I want to introduce you to the team here. We have Christina and Shannon, Samantha. And she's over there, yep. And Dana. And of course, Ronnie. The letters that you guys saw, you see that, Ronnie's now joined forces with us to be our operator. We'll discuss that further in a minute. Since our last meeting, We've had some pretty cool changes, some fantastic things actually have happened. We conducted a market survey here locally of Homestead residents and wanted to share with them what we're planning and what our opportunities are with them, and the response was fantastic. They love the fact that we're planning on opening this bowling alley this summer. So we have several hundred signatures of residents of Homestead that we explained our proposal to, that loved what our plan was and the fact that Pure Corp's going to open this bowling alley this summer. So we have that as well. We did some initial evaluations with contractors just to get a rough idea, and they were all local, trying to bring stuff here to the community in Homestead. You know, as you guys stressed, you wanted us to hire people local and give things to the local. Last month when we were here, you said local stuff was important. So, if it's okay, I'd like to show you that an artistic conception that we developed based upon what we'd like to make the city of Homestead look like. Is it okay for them to approach and show you?
Sure.
Yeah. Go ahead up.
We don't fight.
Please note, these are only proposed name. It's not a final choice. It's just a proposed name. Just to give you an idea. Again, it's only a proposed name. It's not a firm thing. I'd also like to present, if I could, hand out. Is it okay to hand these out to the council members? And at this time, I would like to introduce Johnny Peart.
Thank you very much for inviting us back. We're really excited to be here. We've talked to a lot of residents in Homestead. The response is phenomenal. We've actually gone knocking on doors and met lots of interesting people, people from all walks of life, doctors and lawyers included. It's been a very interesting experience speaking with everyone. One point of confusion I would like to raise now, if I may, and that is that we were given very specific instructions excuse me, at the last meeting to make sure that we covered certain areas and that in fact that our proposal was submitted on time. And we now understand from Mr. Gretzis that something was submitted today after the fact. So that's news to us. We understood that we were the only letter of intent and the only offer because we had joined forces with a very competent and successful operator, which was one of the requirements that you had asked us for.
Yeah, but I think just do your pitch. Sorry. I wouldn't worry about what happened. If we've done something appropriate, we'll find out. But I think that our instructions were to bring something back by tonight. That's what I understood.
I may have misunderstood, but perhaps it was misread. All right, so then I want to just say then that the name that was offered, that was shown to you, is just a suggestion. I want to make that very clear to everyone involved, and that we're asked to produce proof of funds, and we did do that. And we also have presented a letter of intent with real terms, and we have managed to meet with some of the councillors, and we've had some good reaction there. So again, it's a very important component of making the whole project work to have an operator that's experienced and competent. We went to visit Ronnie's facility in Boca Raton, which is being actually torn down, and condos are going in the way there now. So we went to see him, and as you know, he presented last time out, and we found his operation to be impeccable, very clean and beautiful. In fact, we had visited the facility without him knowing. Sorry, Ronnie. And then again, we had meetings with him. So we have two other operators that are also interested, but we've kept our word to Ronnie and said, look, let's see where we can go. Let's go to the next level. And we spent considerable time getting acquainted with him and have had a series of meetings both in person and on the phone. In fact, we've talked almost every second day since the last meeting. So that's going forward very well. My next item that I'd like to bring up is we've also arranged to transfer a seven-figure amount to the Chase Bank in Homestead and spoke to Mr. Iglesias about making those arrangements so that the funds are ready to do what it is that we need to do to get this place open and in short order. So that's been accomplished as well. We also have two very interested, as I mentioned last time I was here, restaurant parties, national franchisors. So we can't really go much further with them, of course, because we don't have anything secured with the city of Homestead. So that's going forward nicely. And we also have someone that's interested to get involved with the other portion of space that we intend to use as a fitness type facility. It has a fitness component. I won't reveal who that franchisee is either at this time. So I just want to emphasize that we understand the goal of the City Council is to give the residents of Homestead what they want, and that is to get the facility open quickly. We have offered in our LOI a 40-day due diligence period. A lot of those hurdles have already been overcome. We've spent considerable time and money and effort to see where it can all go. And we're quite excited that it's all going in the right direction. We feel that we've had better results up to this point than we expected. So on that note, we're looking to close this transaction and open the facility this summer. That is our goal, and that's what we want to do, and that's what we understand from the folks in Homestead want. So I want to make that point clear. Am I missing anything, Dave, that's important here?
One more note. It is essential to make sure that you understand that the bowling season starts in September. We're going to have it open before then, because if you don't, you lose a whole year.
Right, and
it's important.
You know, if you, how shall I put it nicely, if you extend and pretend, you're not getting the job done. You've got to have a deal, I think, and I hope you also agree, that's going to get the job done and get the facility open now. If you go down the road of waiting and delaying and so on and so forth, you're going to miss a season, and you're going to end up in the same place a year from now. I mean, we know it's been sitting there for several years now. We're at the facility again today, and it's important. So I guess we are really happy that the City Council members are diligently working towards what the residents want, and finally reopening the bowling facility. So what we're asking for now is, I suppose, Mayor Bateman, we're requesting a motion to grant exclusive rights for 40 days on our due diligence period. Are there any questions I could answer?
Council, questions?
I apologize. I'm having a little trouble hearing because of the fan. May I close? Is there a door there?
And I think you ought to come a little closer to the mic yourself. There you go.
Thank you.
Mayor,
Yes, Mr. Vice Secretary.
to the gentleman at the podium. On your proposal, it says the option to purchase will consist of a purchase price not to exceed $700,000 with all lease payments made up to the point. Can you explain not to exceed? Does that mean you're committing to $700,000? You may commit to $700,000? Or exactly, what is your intention with that line?
We are.
You are
Committing to $700,000 as a purchase price.
Okay.
And we've outlined the terms in the letter of intent, sir.
And you'd like the city to hold the mortgage for 30 years at 4%. Is that still what you're proposing?
It is correct.
Thank you.
Now, we also have the option to buy out that mortgage or cash it out at any point without penalty during the period. And I guess that's really based on securing the right tenants so that then we can do the refinance. But it's a little difficult to predict exactly what restaurateur is going to come in or how quickly they'll be able to open.
Okay. Yes, Mr.
Thank you, Mayor.
Just one thing that wasn't in the letter of intent, I did have a chance to speak a little bit with you on this issue.
Yes, sir.
And my question to you is are you willing to, part of the negotiation we had with the last company that was interested in the bowling alley was a commitment to it to be and maintain it to be a bowling alley for a certain period of time. I think last time we proposed 7 years. And I think in our conversations you mentioned that you guys were okay with something to that effect, with a restriction that it be maintained as a bowling alley for a certain period of time. Is that still correct?
Yes, that is correct. There was some possible adjustment on the amount of lanes depending on what the demand would ultimately be once the facility is open. But other than that, that is correct. You did ask for a 7-year period, and I think any operator is going to know long inside that period as to whether that makes sense or not, long before a 7-year period.
Yes.
I'm sorry, I had to step out just for a second, so I'm not sure if this question was asked, but I mean, you're basically asking for $1 a year for 2 years, correct?
That is right. May I elaborate?
Pardon me?
May I elaborate on that point?
Well, just let me go, because I'm a contract person, so I'm going strictly by the contract here. And then you're asking, in year 3, $36,000 a year lease rate, and then in 1-5, $60,000 a year in lease rate, and the 4% interest, and you're asking for an assumable mortgage, which is pretty non-existent in today's time. But yet you confuse me when you say when your list of says the letter of intent is subject to the following terms and conditions, and then you say not conditional upon financing. So do you have financing other than this in place as of right now?
It's not conditional. It probably should have been adjusted for clarity. I apologize, but that refers to, in bold letters there, that we're not seeking financing from outside sources for the capital costs and for the dollars that are required to make it work. We have those funds, so we're not saying, hey, let's go through our 40-day due diligence period and see if we can get the money to fix the place. We've provided proof of funds to eliminate that point and to illustrate that, in fact, we're not looking for outside funds other than the mortgage we're asking the city to hold.
Okay, so this statement, in fact, I mean, I took that completely different. When you put in bold letters, not conditional upon financing, I'm assuming that if the city doesn't want to hold your financing, which I'm a mortgage person, I buy and sell paper all over the country, and I know the time value of money, and I know what money's worth today and what money's worth 3 to 4 years from now. So that was confusing to me.
I understand.
So you're saying you have funds available to go in and do the repairs of the bowling alley without financing. That's what you're saying to me?
That is correct.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mayor?
Yes, Mr. Williams.
Yeah, a couple questions. What have you estimated for the project to get up and running and to be open?
That is a little bit of an open book. We have had local contractors come in, all local contractors, and they haven't given us concrete numbers because there needs to be more time in the building. There needs to be more time in the building to solidify what those exact costs would be. We've spoken to probably 9 different contractors in various areas.
What's the ballpark?
I can't give you a ballpark because it would depend on to what extent we do the repairs and exactly what's going to come back at us. But we do know this, that whatever funds it's going to be, it wouldn't ever exceed the dollars that are available in our account for disposal.
Okay. And you're saying that it's $1 a year for the first 2 years of your lease, and then year 3, $36,000 a year, the lease rate?
That is correct. And the thinking behind that is that we have to spend considerable dollars to get the place up and running. And it's critical that the operator is making money and going forward and getting the business up and running and spending his dollars accordingly on that. You can't cripple a new operator and saddle him with large lease payments if he doesn't have the revenue coming at him. So he needs to build that up. And it's also an incentive to have that operator sign a long-term lease. And you want somebody committed who's going to be in there for the long term and put his financial resources behind it as well to get business running well and profitably. So with that in mind, there has to be a lesser, cost in terms of the monthly expenditures.
So you're asking us then to hold a note?
I am. Perhaps 4% isn't that exciting, but of course, those same dollars sitting in a bank account would yield far less.
I can hardly hear you, sir.
I was saying perhaps the 4% isn't an exciting percentile. However, if those funds are sitting in a bank account, they'll yield far less.
Okay, that's all for right now, Mayor.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Burgess.
Thank you, Mayor. So you're telling me, have you and the gentleman that you're representing behind you as the operator coming in, you guys have agreed to terms, you have a signed contract with him, and he's ready to go tomorrow?
He is ready to go once the bowling center is open, and we have a gentleman's agreements and an understanding of roughly what the per-foot costs are going to be, and we will put pen to paper the moment you allow us or grant us the 40-day due diligence period. That will be part of what transpires during that period.
Thank you, Mayor.
And he will answer to that as well if you'd like to speak with him.
Thank you, Mr. Burgess. Mr.
Thank you.
Williams.
Yes. Did you say that he's going to come aboard once the building is open? You said once it's open?
No, he's going to come aboard before the building is open, but we will put pen to paper during the 40-day due diligence period with him in anticipation of opening on a given day. And by the way, that opening day is 30 days to 60 days opening after the 40-day due diligence period. So we're targeting July 1.
So you're asking also for a due diligence period of 40 days?
We must have a 40-day due diligence period to put all of our ducks in a row. And I must also tell you that since we were here last, we've spent considerable time, money, and effort to bring it to the place where we really want to go forward with the project. So we have a greater understanding, even though we weren't under agreement with the City of Homestead.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor. Yes, Mr. Shelley. I was going to wait till the end until everyone had a chance to present, but I do kind of want to make a general statement. You know, I don't know that I consider either the letter of intent that's sitting in front of me that you guys have presented, nor the last proposal that I guess we got just now to necessarily be sufficient. I don't know that any of them are really exciting to me. I think a lot of them they're very undercutting as far as the cost goes, the actual payments. However, you know, treating them both as a initial offer, you know, I think it gives us room to work going forward.
Yes.
But I just want to make sure that I don't think that either one of these offers is really a good offer. I think that they're lowball offers. You know, we were dealing with a purchase price before of $1.7 million, and now the highest one we've got $700,000. So I mean, I think that the deal is still far from being done, regardless of which organization this council chooses. So I just want to kind of set the tone work in that respect, so that both parties have a chance to address that. You know, I don't know that either one of these are great, but at least there's a ballpark, there's some numbers to play with here, and a promise of future negotiations to get a better deal.
I'd like to comment on that, if I may, please.
Sure.
Thank you. It would be very important, I would think, as a real estate investor or as a member of the City Council, to understand that our dollars in 40 days are non-refundable if we discover what we think is already true to be. Any agreement that you enter into, you're going to want hard money. You don't want something that's going to be 90 days. We're already another 30 days into the process, and with everything that's happened in the past, I mean, this is just going on and on and on and on. So let me just state clearly again that in 40 days, our check in real estate terms is hard money. It's non-refundable. 30 days later or so, very close to that, we'll close on the transaction and anticipate to open the center July 1st. In the meantime, if you grant us what we're asking for, we would also ask for a blessing in beginning the marketing process. It's a very small window here, and we don't want to miss the year. In fact, if it gets to the stage where we are going to miss a year, and it's going to drag on and go on and on, we're going to opt out. We're not really that interested. If we can't get in now, get the job done, open the center for the City of Homestead, and that's really where we stand. So, the money goes hard. That's an important point. I got to tell you, we've talked to hundreds of residents, and we've explained to them generally what our marketing plan is and what we're offering and how we're going to proceed. And without exception, everybody has said to us, when is this going to open? We love it. Let's get the show on the road.
I don't know what else to add other than you're talking about a real offer, and we just need to construct the contract based on hopefully what we've offered, and we're ready to get the job done. All of the people that are here, with the exception of myself and one other, are residents of Homestead as well. I don't know, Dave, I couldn't hear that well back here, but I don't know if he mentioned that we also just opened up our South Florida Division office at number 1 Chrome Street. So, in anticipation of making all this work. So we're ready to get this going. Discussing offers and going back and forth and, delaying this and not having the money go hard in the end isn't going to get the place open. And that's our business, and that's what we do.
Mr. Mayor, one last follow-up question.
Yes, please.
And what is your drop dead date? When do you have to close by in order to get open by your goal date? Do you have a...
We would like to be open July the 1st. If you were going to say, what's the drop dead date, I would have to tell you July 1st, but I would also have to tell you, in all fairness, that we would need to begin the marketing process, the proposed opening, shall we call it, tomorrow morning. We're ready to get the show on the road. We've got many things in place, and we don't want to, okay, let's come back in 30 days and rediscuss it, because it really makes it much more difficult to get the job going. We have contractors that possibly aren't available. We've got, a series of other things that wouldn't line up. We need the planets to line up and line up quickly, notwithstanding that you don't want to accept our offer.
Yes, I'm sorry.
Go on.
Sorry.
Please.
I was a little concerned because if we don't put pen to paper to this letter of intent, this is no longer valid after 5 days.
I don't think it's going to take very long to construct a proper offer, and I think you'll notice in our LOI that we'll prepare that offer for your attorney to review very quickly, in fact, by Monday. And it'll contain all the details, including the corrections that you pointed out, clearly. So,
but that's when you're I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, please.
Please. It's just that when you're dealing with city government, to give us that drop-dead time of 5 days, that's impossible.
It's impossible.
And
well, I understand that.
And that concerned me because I kind of just felt like we were having a little bit of pressure there. But anyway, I'll reserve any other comments till later. But are you still holding by that? If we don't put pen to paper, that there's a letter of intent, in 5 days you're done?
If you came back to us and said,
I don't know how else to put it.
If you came back to us and said, look, we need a little bit more time to structure the deal, then we can get it done. I mean, essentially, it's a city attorney that's going to structure the offer with the variables in place and us ready and available to discuss the points and fine-tune them, perhaps in person at the city offices, to get the job done. I mean, I don't think it's an insurmountable task, but certainly 5 days might be a little bit of a short. How about we say 5 business days? I
tell you that our city attorneys are so thorough and so they have the best interests of the city at heart, and sometimes contract negotiations take months. And, especially when you're asking us to carry all your financing, because ultimately, besides the repairs that you put into it, which granted, it needs a lot of work, you really only have $35,000 into the deal.
We will on the 40th day.
Exactly. So that's what I'm saying. It's, anyway, we have a lot to think about. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hall.
Mayor?
Yes, Mr. Williams.
Well, the deal has already gone by because it was March 15th, so we missed out. We missed out on this deal because it's March 15th, 5 days.
We wrote the date on there based on the date you required us to submit, and when we did submit, had you signed that you accepted and received the documentation on time. So as far as the 5 days go, I'm sure that it's clear that once it is reviewed that you go from there. I mean, that's perhaps a legal point that's arguable.
Oh, all right.
I think intention, and what we've demonstrated to you is what's going to, allow you to feel that we're the right people to go forward with or not, quite frankly. And I suppose, that amending that date is not going to be an issue. I understand you need enough time to construct a proper contract to protect the interests of the city of Homestead and also the investor, and then in turn the operator. We understand that.
Okay. Any further questions from council? Okay. Mr. Manager, would you like to, before we hear the next presentation, would you like to chime in on any part of it?
A couple of things. There were some procedural questions, and I think what he's referring to is that at the last meeting, Virgo had said, well, I asked all three entities at the meeting, do you intend to comply with what the council asked for, which was to submit a proposal? The two said yes, and then Bird Bowl said, you have our proposal. So then when I spoke to the two entities, I called them to say, are you still planning to put a proposal in? And when they said yes, I said, could you please have it the Thursday before the meeting so that we can include it in the packet because we prepared the agenda. So when they're referring to that Thursday deadline, that was the deadline I gave them so that we could have the information included in the packet. You ultimately set the rules, and you basically said at the meeting, have a proposal here for us at the next council meeting. So I think that's where there may be some confusion in that regard. In terms of the issue of this 5-day, I think based on assuming what they told me on the phone was true, I think they were trying to demonstrate to you all that they were serious about moving forward and that they were ready to go. So I think that was the intent of why they were putting that in there. I would also ask them to have their bowling alley operator here, and I think it'd be important for you to at least explain to the council what your plan is for the bowling alley, what kind of bowling alley, because I think you were a little short on your presentation in terms of on the operational side, and I think it'd be helpful for the council to understand who your operator is and what kind of an operation this would be.
Right. Okay, as I explained last time I was here, and I'll try to clarify this time around. Commercial real estate properties, as most of you know, have to be synergized correctly. You have to have the right restaurant in there, obviously the right bowling alley operator because they're taking up a large percentile of the space. And it has to be done in such a way that makes sense. If you're going to have a restaurateur there, he may not succeed well if the bowling alley isn't doing well. And the reverse is also true. So we've chosen an operator that runs a very clean and successful operation, albeit the demographic is a little different in Boca Raton. They have a fantastic operation. It's well run. I believe there are people in the room here who know the state of the appearance in that center. I mean, it's impeccable, and we would aspire to do the same thing here, which is really one of the main reasons we had Ronnie come aboard. He's a real gentleman, and he runs a Class A operation, and it seems just like a natural fit in that his center is closing down, and he's got so much experience. So that's why we chose Ronnie. As I mentioned, we do have two other operators as well, but in terms of how it's going to be run, I don't think Homestead is going to be disappointed at all in terms of what they see aesthetically when they walk in the door. It's really, we're talking about an entire facelift. Yes, some of the main things that are there have to be there. We're not, moving bowling alleys over or anything like that, and we're revamping all the existing equipment that is there. But there are some interior finishes that are going to be adjusted. Perhaps, Ronnie, did you want to speak on that at all? Let me allow Ronnie to give you a few words to answer that question a little bit better, sir.
Good evening, council members, Mr. Mayor. On behalf of myself and everybody else that's here to represent the bowling center up there, I've been in this business for nearly 20 years. I started out working, cleaning the tables and so on and so forth in the bowling centers. I worked my way up to a general manager, and then I worked my way up to the point where I bought my own bowling center. I am extremely capable, if I must say so myself, of running a bowling center. I know all about, I know what people are looking for. You have two different aspects of bowling. You have open play bowlers and you have league bowlers. League bowlers are looking for certain things. They're looking for good lane conditions. They're looking for a clean bowling center. They want to see the same thing week after week. They're there 35 to 36 weeks out of the year.
So I know what the program is, I know what it's all about. I met John, I decided that it was better off for me to pull my proposal. I did have a proposal in mind. I have a gentleman here that I'm working with from Arizona. I decided that it would be better off if we pulled forces and we did this, and it would be better for us, and it would also be better for the city of Homestead. In the meantime, I find out that things had changed a little bit, and I didn't know what was going on. So John and I got together, and we decided that this would be the best thing to do. As far as running the bowling center, it's easy for anybody to open up a bowling center, and it's very easy for anybody to put up a building. The trick is to keep it going, and it's different, and it's a different type of business. And like we said, we'd love to be open in the summertime. If you miss getting the leagues to sign up for September, and they'll be signing contracts now in April and May at the other places, and if you miss getting those people to get on board with you for September, then you pretty much are going to have, you can have a brand new facility there, and you're going to struggle to make it, because you definitely need league bowlers in there. They're the bread and butter of the bowling business. I had a person fly in today from North Carolina. He turned around and went back to North Carolina. This man, what he does is strictly remodels and builds bowling centers. I've known the guy for 15 years, and he was down here today with us. We went through the bowling center, we took a lot of pictures, he wrote a lot of things down. He's going to go back now and put a proposal together for me, because he knows what I'm looking for in that center, to go back and now give me some numbers on what it's going to cost to remodel just the bowling center part of it. I mean, what John is saying, he's buying the building, and then, I guess there's a lot of stuff missing out of that building. When we went in there today, we found out there's a lot of plumbing missing, the air conditioners are all gone. There's a lot of work in that building over there now. So, but we're pretty much on track to do things. And this guy's ready to go. If we can consummate a deal here, the guy's ready to come down and start doing some work in there, and we can get the place up and running. As far as the restaurant is concerned, that's a different entity, but I'm interested in getting the bowling center going, a place for kids to go, a place to have birthday parties, and we're just ready to do it.
Mr. Mayor?
So, thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mayor. Do you have a restaurant in your bowling alley up there now?
Yes, I do.
And can you give me, do you guys have between you and John there, have you come up with a plan that you're going to have a restaurant also, and there would be another restaurant out front?
Well, the restaurant that's out front that's a full-service restaurant. The ones that are in the bowling centers are more or less on the like a snack bar type of basis.
But it's got to make you a pretty good profit at where you're at now. Is that correct?
Yes.
And you intend to have, there will be one here or not one?
Yes, there's one in the bowling center now. And
well, if that's what you...
I'm sorry?
There's some machinery there that represents things that were cooked on at one day. I wouldn't call it a snack bar.
Well, there's a person sitting in this room, and they were the original owners of that bowling center. Yeah. Paula Carter is sitting over there on the other side, and they were in the bowling center when it first, they built the place and they first opened it up, and then again the hurricane came along and did what it did. But the bowling center, when they first opened that place up down there, it did very, very well. Snack bar, the bar, because what happens is the bowlers it's a different breed of person. If they're coming in there to bowl, they're going to come in the bowling center. Maybe they'll frequent over there at the restaurant part on the other side of it, maybe afterwards or whatever. But when they come in to bowl, 6 o'clock, they get there, they're coming from work, so on and so forth. There's really not a lot of time to go out and play around and go eat other places. So they'll come in the bowling center, they'll eat, and we have a full bar. There'll be a full bar in there. I have a full bar at my other place, and it's an entity all in itself. I don't think the restaurant before, when they had the sports page there, I don't think it ever interfered with any of the sales that went on in the snack bar. Because when you have the kids in there at nights and on the weekends and stuff, they're looking for the finger foods, the french fries and the hamburgers and hot dogs and so on and so forth. So that's a different...
That was one of my concerns, is that you would be competing against a business that's right there, and I would suspect that you make a fair profit on your snack bar and stuff now. So I just wanted to make sure and get clear on what the plan was for that. So yeah. Thank you.
I've been to other bowling centers where they have restaurants on one side and a bowling center, and the snack bar in there. Because when you're doing the birthday parties and so on and so forth, you're giving children pizza or chicken tenders or wings or whatever, and that restaurant that John is talking about is a little higher end than this over here. Thank you, Mayor.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Yes.
Yeah, one more question. Yeah, Mr. Mayor.
Please.
I just had a question in regard, the concept of the bowling center, is it going to be similar to the strikes that you had before? Because my understanding is the strikes is more of it's a fun time bowling center versus, say, a league play, specializing in league play. So is your concept to kind of recreate strikes down here, or is it going to be to do a completely different concept that focuses on, say, national qualified leagues?
No, when you say strikes, you mean my place in Boca?
The one that was in Boca, are you doing a similar concept here? Because my understanding is that the strikes type of franchise is and I don't know, I may be incorrect, that's why I'm asking if you could correct me, is more of it's fun bowling versus, say, focusing on league play. So I guess I need you to clarify what the intent is. Are you guys going to focus on league play, or are you going to be more of a fun center or a combination thereof?
It'll definitely, without a doubt, be a combination thereof. The bowling centers you're talking about, they call them boutique bowling centers, and some of them, the lanes aren't even the correct length. They're just there for fun and games. And the one that's over here in the Dolphin Mall, there's no leagues in that place. And a lot of these bowling centers now around the country that are what you're talking about, they're having a hard time. They're having a real hard time. There's a lot of them for sale. And it's due to that fact. These places, they don't open up till 4 o'clock in the afternoon, charging $30 an hour to go in there and bowl and stuff. And the economy doesn't call for that.
For clarification, I guess my interest is, I believe the interest here is for a league-type bowling system. That's what I think our residents want.
Yes.
And want to be provided. So I'm actually asking whether or not you're going to provide that league bowling, or whether you're going to focus on the specialty bowl, like you were saying, or combination. And so if you're saying that if you are focusing on league bowling, it's a positive thing, but I just need to hear that from you.
Yes.
Versus...
That is, without a doubt, that is the backbone of the business, yes.
Okay, have we filled out council? Mr. Manager, anything else?
There was one other statement that they made, that they provided proof of funds. I think you have a letter there that says they have funds in a bank someplace. That doesn't necessarily mean that they're encumbered. So in fairness, just to give you both sides of the story, they've said they have funds. I think they have a letter that says they have funds. Whether those funds will be available at the time, until there's a signed agreement and there's certain, deadlines in place, then it's kind of hard to gauge whether the funds are escrowed or not. So that's just the other piece of this, and that's all on this one.
Thank you. Well, thank you very much, and let's hear the second presentation.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
This guy comes up here and says he's going to write a check tomorrow.
Hello, my name is Sergio Rock from Bird Ball Investments. First of all, thank you for the opportunity. If I can quickly just give you a bit brief background of myself once more and why I think that we're the most qualified. Bowling is a very unique business, and it takes an operator that understands that business, and we have operated and owned Bird Bowl for 28 years. So when it comes to experience of owning a bowling alley, we certainly have that, as well as not only that, you have a real estate component of this particular Homestead. You have the bowling business, and then you have a real estate component, of which you have to understand that a lot of operators don't deal with the real estate part of it, which is obviously the structural components, mechanical, electrical, plumbing, roof repairs, reserves, parking, and lights, and so on. I have over 25 properties with over 300 tenants just in Miami-Dade County alone. So real estate is something that we also do very well and manage. So I think these two components are very important for this particular business, because this is not just an operator looking to lease a property. This is an operator that's going to actually own the property and maintain that property. And at Bird Bowl, we do own that property and we maintain it. And, bowling is a very, like I said, difficult business. We've had ours for 28 years. Obviously, it was not closed. Bird Bowl's been in existence for 56. You have other bowling centers in Dade County that have closed. You have Don Carter's that closed in Kendall. You have Cloverleaf that's closed. So we're the only large bowling center left in Miami-Dade County, and that we do league bowling. I think, obviously, It's important to know that my bowling center is 30 miles north of here. The proof in the pudding.
It's not you, it's just a mic.
Oh, okay.
It's a bad mic.
The proof in the pudding is basically, and I hope that you guys had an opportunity of actually going to Bird Bowl and taking a look at the quality of services that we provide our customers. It is a family business. We own it as a family business, we treat it as a family business, and we've had only good things said about Bird Bowl, and throughout the 28 years of us owning it, and actually through all the times that other bowling centers have closed, we have not closed. We give our atmosphere there is something very well liked, and we will provide that same exact type of business here in Homestead. And obviously, any questions you have on my LOI, obviously I'll answer any questions you have.
Okay, council. Who's first? Mr. Shelley.
Why not? Same question I had for the last person that was interested, and that was kind of restriction on the use as a bowling center. You know, that again, that's the whole purpose of this whole exercise, is to get a bowling center here in the city of Homestead and to make sure that the person is committed and makes the best effort possible to make sure it remains a bowling center and doesn't just buy it for cheap and then turn around, say it doesn't work, and then construct some higher and better use. And so are you willing to put some sort of restriction on the purchase to maintain it as a bowling center for a certain period of time?
Yes, we are.
Okay. The 7 years as well that they committed to, or?
We would do a minimum 5 years.
Okay.
Maybe more, but minimum 5 years.
Okay. And same comments as before. Again, I think the $500,000 is a first offer, you know, kind of throw it out there for the start of negotiations, but I don't see it as a real offer. You know, per se, I think that there's, you know, I know you have to do due diligence just like the other place have to do due diligence to find out what the actual real cost is to you to refurbish that bowling center. And that plays into the actual price you can pay. I understand that. But at the same time, I mean, I consider this one as well a viable offer that I would agree to. I think, again, it lays the groundwork for future negotiations. That's the way I see it going.
And I understand and obviously respect your opinion on that, and obviously that's why the due diligence process for us is very important. So we expect to spend a lot of time, and a lot of money, and a lot of resources to come back with a business plan that actually makes sense. No, we are not committed to open up this bowling center by July 1st. I don't think it's feasibly impossible to commit to that. I think that it takes us time for due diligence, for plans, for contracts, for general contractors, for permits. Absolutely, we do not see that being something possible that we cannot do. So we will not entertain anything to open up Homestead by this summer. We expect to put millions of dollars in improvements, and those improvements take a lot of time as far as permitting and plans. We are not looking for financing for these improvements, but I cannot see, as somebody who's been in real estate business for over 25 years, that a bowling center that needs that kind of work and that kind of due diligence can open up in the month of July, and as well as the fact that we have to do a phase 2 on the project, because what I have is a copy of a phase 1 back in 2008 that says on that property that a phase 2 is required and recommended. We have not obviously done the phase 2. I have no idea what that phase 2 is going to come back to. There's too many things to simply say that in 3 months from now we're going to open up a bowling center, which absolutely I think is not possible.
Mayor. Mr. Wayne, go ahead. And so just to be clear for the record, you're not asking us to hold a note on finance, right?
Absolutely not.
So you're saying that you have, my next question then will be, what do you estimate maybe it will cost to open up?
It's hard to estimate. Certainly we expect to put at least $2 to $2.5 million.
Into the property?
Yes, including obviously the improvements.
So you're saying that by putting that in there, you have that revenue, that cash to do that?
Yes, we do.
Saying.
Yes, and and again, I go back to the due diligence period because there are no plans to this site whatsoever. There has to be environmentals done, and there has to be building plans as is, and from those as is plans, you need to actually do new plans for your improvements, and that I can assure you takes time because every component of this building needs to work. Every single component, whether it's facade, roof, electrical, mechanical, the equipment itself, everything needs it, including the restaurant, including the retail, including the signage. And all of that is only done after you have an as-built plans. And this takes time.
Parking lot, landscape. Yes.
Uh,
Sorry, I'm sorry.
Mr. Williamson?
Well, I just had a quick
Oh,
question.
go ahead.
So is it a fair statement to say that this $500,000 purchase price is very much preliminary?
Yes, it is.
Okay. So I wasn't comfortable with that.
Thank you. The other applicant represented that they would be looking to bring in firms and different individuals to kind of take over the different parcels. Are you saying tonight that you believe that you can take over all 3 parcels yourself and keep things intertwined to keep everything kind of floating if one thing was to slow down and keep going to keep all 3 parcels open?
Yes, I think it's important for the bowling center, and we do operate a restaurant inside our bowling center. I think that we would entertain doing some sort of joint development with a restaurant for that 6,000 square feet, but it has to be a joint venture with the bowling company itself. It won't be independent as far as resources, because I think the bowling entity, for it to be successful, needs to participate in the restaurant business. So we would consider doing joint ventures, which we've done in the past with other deals I've done in real estate with other retailers, and we do joint ventures with them. But it has to play into the bottom line for the bowling business. It's something that we found in the last 20 years to be important.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
Mayor,
Ms. Wallman.
thank you. I know we had an appraisal done a couple years ago, and I guarantee you, of course I can't guarantee you, but I can pretty much know, dealing with those appraisers like I deal with, that it's going to come back much less than it did 2 years ago. First of all, I don't even know what they would compare it to except the frontage on US 1, but I really, regardless of what we come up with the price, I'm very impressed with the experience that you have. I'm very familiar with your operation. I'm also impressed with the cash, because I think we've had about enough of carrying back the financing and the dollars a year and all of that stuff. So you're asking for 20 days more for due diligence than the party that presented before you.
I've seen the appraisal.
But if you take a financial calculator and you run your figures out, you'll see that the money that you save by maybe taking a little lower in price is certainly worth much more at the end of the day as to what we can do with that money and work it here in the city. And 4% is not unusual. That's an interest rate that many people are offering these days. But I think your reputation really speaks volumes. And I've done some research. I've talked to people that have worked with your company, and you have a really high standard with your reputation, and I'm impressed by that. I believe we've ordered an appraisal on the property, which will be in probably within 30 days. Would you be willing to wait until that appraisal came in? You don't seem to be in such a rush. Or would you rather us do something, if it comes down to that, contingent upon the appraisal coming back in?
I don't have an issue with waiting. At this point, the appraisal for us isn't something that we're too concerned about. It's something you're concerned about. For us, as a business plan, it boils down to operating, a business there and putting a lot of money into running that. So, but I have no issues with waiting 30 days.
And it's just the last time I was in there, I would think that it would have to be gutted. We haven't had an air conditioner in there in quite a while, so the floors, go awry, and there's just a lot of things. But I just want to make sure that you're, as well, are still on board as far as giving us a few days to the manager and the attorney to work out some of these things in the documents that we were given tonight.
As far as timing, there is no requirement on us as far as timing. There's no deadline for us. So whenever the City of Homestead feels it's the right time to decide, it's fine with us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Further questions from council? Mr. Manager, how old is the appraised lot? Something tells me back in '09 we got our 10.
It's in excess of 2 years old. We can't,
Yeah. I remember reviewing it. It was some pretty high number, like $2.5 million.
Mayor,
Yes.
if I can, through the manager, Mayor, Vice Mayor, and Council. Yeah, it's a pretty old appraisal, I would say about 3 years ago, if I recall properly, and it was in the $2.5 to $3 million range, if I remember correctly.
Close to $3 million. And I understand what you're saying. You got a business plan you're working, and I understand that, and that's where your numbers are at, and I'm trying to understand it. What was the acreage, you know? Was it an acre and a half or acre? The acreage. Do you remember what the acreage was?
4 acres.
Yeah.
4 acres.
It's that. Yeah, because see, there's property on US 1 right now with nothing on it that I know is going for $1.5 million. So it's hard for me to swallow, you know, 500,000. I know you got a big nut to crack. You got a lot to do. So that's the part that troubles me. I like your operation. I like what you're about. I don't like the number.
And respectfully, I understand that we haven't had any real due diligence on the property. We have a building that we don't even know structurally its integrity. We don't know anything about the building and what's required for us to put a bowling center. So sometimes you end up getting these highest and best uses for appraisals, but when you're looking to put a bowling center or a particular use on a property, well, that highest and best use is not that. So if you want to take a real appraisal of the building, you may have to take a look at it differently than just on the land purchase. You may have to look at it as putting on a bowling restriction. And that is completely different than saying, okay, what is this US 1 property worth? Let me put a retail shopping center on it versus a bowling center. So that's the difference between sometimes where a bowling center comes in, and that's why you don't see many of them. That's why you see most of them closed, because the operator or the landlord ends up getting higher and best use. That's why you only see us as the only league bowling in Dade County, because it's so expensive to maintain, so expensive to run these bowling centers, and more money to keep up those upgrades. So a lot of times you end up seeing some in 10 or 15 years closing because they don't want to put back the improvements needed to make those bowling centers run continuously. And one of the questions I wanted to answer was, yeah, we'll be a league bowler, but at the same time, we just in the last 2 years put over $1.5 million in my inboard bowl just to update everything, and that includes 10-foot screens, that includes LCD TVs, laser shows, everything that you require for open bowling that the kids do want. So we have a league bowling, we have the high schools go there, we have summer camps go there, and then open bowling we have what the kids really want. So, but this comes back to having the funds necessary to put back into the bowling centers to operate them. And that's the difficult part and the financial burden on these bowling centers today.
Mayor,
No, let me finish up just what I was saying. I hear you and I feel you, because I feel the people. I feel that the fact that every store I go into, every move I make around town, somebody says, how's the bowling alley going? How's the bowling alley? And it's what we want. It's what we're asking for, I guess, is what actually drives the price down. Because I'm going to tell you, I'll bet it comes back $2 million or more. Because I can tell you, property that was on US 1 is greater now than it was 2 years ago. Raw land, greater now than 2 years ago. Some with buildings on them, some not. So I just really believe it's going to come back, and then we're going to have egg on our face, and they're going to say to us, why'd you sell a $2.5 million piece of property for $500,000? And we're going to have to say, for quality of life, because we wanted a bowling alley for our citizens. So I have a tough time struggling with it. I hear where you're coming from, but it's tough. If you look at what we did with LA, and I don't know, I don't have a magical crystal ball, but it's 7 years away. I can tell you, a lot of the citizens didn't swallow well on that. They thought we gave it away at $1 a year, escalating up with something happening in 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, and then 6 years, and then, of course, ultimately 7 years, they buy it out or the deal's done. I can sell that easier to a logical businessman on the street than I can $500,000 for something that appraised at $2.5 million.
And there, if I could interrupt, because this proposal came in late, it's been difficult for the staff to analyze it. In fact, staff has not seen this letter beyond what you've seen so far. But what's not clear in here is the language seems to suggest that they don't pay the money until they open the business, but it doesn't appear as if there's any commitment to open the business and what time frame there is. And also with our discussions with them, while they've said they're interested in opening a bowling alley, we have not yet heard from them. They're committed to opening up a bowling alley. And what they've said is that they'll open a bowling alley after they do their due diligence and decide that the numbers work for them. And so I don't know if something has changed from the time that we've met with them to the time that they've submitted this proposal. And also, as we start talking about prices and negotiating, one thing I would say out of fairness is, because we told the other entity to have their information in by Thursday, and because we had relied on the fact that they had already said Bird Bowl had submitted their proposal, and they said that is their proposal, I think the other party does make a case that, well, they submitted their proposal, and then over the weekend, this particular entity had an opportunity to review their proposal and then come in with a proposal and a reaction to their proposal. So if you're talking about negotiating and pricing, I don't think that, if this is the first offer on both sides, there is a question of fairness if the one side had an opportunity to review the other's proposal before putting their proposal together.
But in all fairness, Mr. Manager, I can tell you their offer leaked out 2 days in advance, and it was put in writing on my desk. And I started to come to you today and say, what's going on here?
Whose offer?
The other proposal. Line by line, I'll give it to you after this meeting, but
their proposal came in on the day it came in. We sent it to the council, so it came in.
It was on the street. It wasn't like they found anything out tonight. It was on the street back on Wednesday.
No, but they had said at the meeting that their proposal was the 90-day due diligence period, and so they had an opportunity to submit a real proposal after they saw the competitor's proposal. And so I'm just saying that from the point that they made is that one had one rule in mind and the other one had already said that their proposal was what they had submitted to the council.
That doesn't hang me up so much, because we said by next council meeting be back. I don't really have a problem with that. But I hear what you're saying, because we also received, I'm sure the entire council received it, the email from Kaufman's.
Correct.
Saying, look what you're doing now, and you didn't do it for us, and now you're changing gears, and you didn't, you're offering something that we probably could have done. So what's we got liability there, Mr. Attorney?
I don't feel that we do, but you may want to offer all of the interested parties one final chance to send in their best offer to the city manager's office by X date, and then you can go from there.
And also, if there could be clarification on Bird Bowl's part, is their commitment to open up a bowling alley, or is this a commitment to submit a proposal after a due diligence period? Because that part is still unclear to us.
Thank you.
My commitment is to open up a bowling center. That's the reason why I'm here. That's the reason I'm interested in that particular property. It was obviously the bowling center before, and my commitment is that we are going to open up a bowling center. There is no other commitment. If for some reason we cannot open up a bowling center, we will not enter into a contract. Our commitment is for a bowling center, period.
And is that what this proposal is? Because it doesn't say that in the letter that you submitted. It says that you'll pay for the property once you open the business.
I'll be happy to resubmit it, but I'm verbally telling you that we're here, and our commitment is for a bowling operation.
Okay.
A regulation bowling center.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
Thanks.
Mayor, Ms. Wallman.
Yes, and you're absolutely right, Mayor. There's property on US 1 that's worth a lot of money. But again, it was us that made the restriction that it had to be a bowling center. So I hope that our appraiser, whoever it is truly appraising the property based on that information, because you can't compare an apple to an orange. You cannot do that. And I just got back from Tallahassee, and there were 3 bowling alleys. I'm really into bowling alleys right now, and I looked this stuff up, and there's 3 bowling alleys in Tallahassee, and they were packed. So, but I just wanted to say that the appraisal has to reflect what it truly is destined to be, and that is a bowling alley. And that appraiser is going to have a hard time. And I wonder, and if I may, through the mayor, through the manager, with Jerry, may I ask, the last appraisal that we had, was that a contingency, that it was absolutely for a bowling alley? And I'd love to see their comps.
I don't believe it was with the contingency that it had to be a bowling alley.
So see, that's where your difference is going to come in. And your wife's a realtor, you know.
I saw it. I saw the appraisal one time. And I mean, it caught my eye because it was University of Miami grad. It said on it, blah, blah, blah. And I read through parts of it. It was about that thick, and I think it cost us a fortune. So I'd rather cut the deal, not even do the appraisal.
And we're trying really, that's a good point, really.
We're going to spend some money on that
But
appraisal.
you know, we're trying to protect what the people want, and I know all of us that went to town hall meetings or community meetings and grocery store, drugstore, whatever. When's that bowling alley going to open?
Yeah.
That's all anybody cares about. And,
Trying to have our cake and eat it too.
yeah, so I mean, I don't know how we're going to get a true appraisal. I really don't, because you can't just appraise it on square footage. You can't appraise it on you know, you can't, you just can't, because it has to be a bowling alley. Just throwing that out there. Thank you.
Mr. Shelton, Mr. Mayor. Yes, sir. The problem I have is I mean, we're all talking in theory again tonight, and we've done it a couple times before dealing with these bowling alleys, and to me there's not enough concrete data yet to make a comparison. I don't know if this is a good deal or a bad deal. You know, I don't know, is it really going to appraise at $2.5 million or $2 million or 1.7, and if so, is the quality of life make up the difference between a $500,000 or $700,000 versus the $2 million offer? And if I remember right, when we did the stadium deal, the reason that did turn out pretty well is we had dual competing companies. We were doing simultaneous negotiations with entities, and we got a good deal considering the circumstances with what we wanted. And so I see that kind of again today. You've got two companies here who we don't have enough information on to even to evaluate their current offers. They both kind of acknowledge that the current offer is really just a opening proposal. And so for me, I couldn't vote for either one of these tonight because I don't have enough information. I don't know if I'm making a good deal or a bad deal, and that makes me uncomfortable. And so for me, I want staff to do the due diligence like they did last time. I want them to investigate each company. I want them to put out a non-biased facts and information so that I can assess the qualities of both. And I don't have that right now, so for me it's a very difficult decision.
Any further discussion?
Mayor, I'm sorry, Mayor. At this point, I don't know what an appraisal is going to do for us, you know, and it's going to cost probably thousands of dollars. I don't know how much the last one cost.
More than thousands.
$3,000? Yeah, so, I mean, I can see getting the appraisal back, and yes, we know we have 4 acres of land, and yes, we know that we have a building, and yes, we know the building needs repairs, but unless you compare, like I said before, I hate to use the cliche, apples to apples, it's not going to tell us anything. So I don't know, Mayor, if maybe we might want to advise the manager to do as Mr. Shelley said, you know, put together your resume, more or less, and present it to us, and your credentials, and see. I mean, I just can't put a lot of credence, and I mean, I'm in that business, and it's difficult. It's going to be very difficult.
Mayor?
Yes, Mr. Williams.
Let me ask this question. What are we looking for the outcome tonight, George? What are you looking for us to tell you so we can move on?
Ideally, if there was a proposal that you really liked, that you told us this is the proposal that you like, and to go and finalize the documents for your approval. That was our hope. Again, we were surprised by the late submission, and so in fairness, it might be a good idea to give both entities an opportunity to submit their last best offer and whatever additional documentation that the staff would ask them for. And we can come back, hopefully, at the CAL, and assuming they can get their information in, we can have this discussion all over again.
Yeah. Well,
One other thing, it would be helpful to get some direction, since the Kaufman and Sons letter did come in, if you had any interest in revisiting them or not, because if it's no, then at least we can tell them no, or if you'd like them to re-propose, that's your call.
okay. Suggestions? Okay. See?
Yeah, Mayor, my suggestion is that we have that the staff will do a fact-finding on the proposals that are in front of us now, that George may submit full-fledged proposals of the organization structure operational structure so that we're able to make a clear and concise decision going forward, and that it be done by the next CAL meeting.
Yeah, and the one point that I think you're alluding to is, in either proposal, we really don't know, are they committing to 40 lanes, 30 lanes, as we had kind of dialogued in some of those issues with Kaufman and Sons, they all came into play, how many years they'd commit to a bowling alley. All that specificity really was not included in either proposal. And interesting about the appraisal issue, and one of the arguments that we made to Kaufman and Sons, which we'd make to either one of these entities, is what you're getting, and the reason why we're allowing the property to go for reduced prices for the commitment that you'll do a bowling alley. The public wants a bowling alley, and that's an amenity of the city. But, so that's something that having a number of years guarantee of the bowling alley, when they would propose opening the bowling alley, their operational plan, something to give you all the benefit of what you're buying into before you commit to either one of those proposals.
A full detailed scope of their services and what they're offering.
And obviously, the sooner we can get them to commit to submitting a final formal proposal would be helpful, because the league issue is an important factor here, assuming that you want to get something up and running quick. And if one entity says that they can commit to opening by a certain date, it'd be important for them to demonstrate how they would do that. And then also, if one cannot demonstrate that, you should be able to factor that into your decision making, whether that's important to you or not.
Clarification, Mayor?
Yes, please.
For Mr. Williams, when you mentioned the current proposals, are you intending that they keep the current terms? Or are you allowing for them to modify those terms to something hopefully better?
No, I'm asking that they would, from what I've gathered is that, from my colleagues, that 500 or 700,000 is not even a base point.
Right.
So I would think that they would submit something that was more palatable to us, in which we're looking for, in order that we might take them seriously.
Mayor?
Yes.
I mean, I don't know how other people feel, but do you feel it's necessary to spend that $3,000 on an appraisal, or I mean, I certainly don't feel it is.
It's already done, isn't it?
We have already.
Oh, it's already in process, okay.
Well, George, I'm sorry, Mayor?
Yes.
Is it too late then to specify that with that proposal, also with the appraisal, that it's kind of defined that it will be a bowling center?
We can talk with the appraiser about the scope and to address Councilwoman Woolman's concerns, which are real, and you can deal with that at the front end or the back end. If the appraisal comes in higher than is realistic, we also factored that into the negotiation process, that there is a restriction and they're providing an amenity, and that's why the discounted price. But if we can get them to do that in the appraisal, then certainly that would be the better option. If there's a way to do that, and I'm not sure if there is a methodology to address that.
Okay.
And do you have a date that we can impose on them, the CAL or the regular council meeting?
I think. Really?
My suggestion was the CAL.
CAL?
The next CAL meeting.
When is that, April?
It's the second or the third.
Right. And we were trying to.
Council.
We were trying to keep
April 3rd.
April 3rd.
And we were trying to keep that open a little bit to heavily discuss our first meeting on the 100th anniversary of the city of Homestead.
When will we, because
This will be a long discussion, just like it is tonight.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
When will we get the appraisal back? Because you're going to need time to get the appraisal, to assess the appraisal, to negotiate with each company and the entity.
Yeah, we're probably within a month.
So the council meeting would be a better aim?
I think
so.
It's too short, I think.
Yeah, because otherwise you're not going to have time to do justice. We're going to do this all again and not have enough information and delay it. I think it's better to do it all right the first time.
But you're asking for when we can impose a time for them to get the information back to you?
Right. Ideally, if we could get the proposals by the CAL and then have something to you, this way it gives us a couple of weeks to... The problem is this last-minute thing puts us in a very difficult position to give you any professional advice, because we haven't really had any time to look at it, and so... ideally, if we could give them the April 3rd date, as that's when you have to have your proposals in by, And then we have the commitment to have this on the agenda for the next council meeting towards the back end of the month. And then you can hopefully make a decision at that point, and if that's your will. And then I would also need an answer on the Kaufman issue of whether you'd entertain them resubmitting.
Mr. Attorney, can we write a scope of work without calling it RFP or RFQ? Can we write a scope of work without calling it an RFP?
As far as this proposal for the sale of the property?
Instead of some
Yes,
type
you could proceed.
Scope of bid or scope of...
Yes, you could proceed.
This guy's apples, this one's oranges, and
At
this
this
one's
point,
bananas.
after everything that's occurred, you can certainly proceed as the manager has suggested.
Okay.
Mr.
Just
Mayor.
something that's fair for all of them. Here it is, you know.
I mean, I think
Direct
because we had a
commonality.
formalized RFP process and all that was done, I think the decision was made. The next phase of this would be an open-ended process where people could submit anything related to a bowling alley proposal, and so unless we go back to a more formalized process, you know, it's really your
But
decision.
I was just referring to at least, this gentleman didn't have bowling alley. He talked about a business plan and talked about once the business was open, and you pointed that out. So I think there got to be some basics. There must be a bowling alley.
Right.
That's why we're at today, and that's why we're taking what we're taking eventually. So
And I think they've heard what you're looking for, if you have additional criteria.
I promise you they won't.
I'm sorry, just, but
This guy owns a bowling alley. He didn't even put on their bowling alley.
the letter that was, I'm sorry, did I have?
No, please go ahead.
We're also hot and tired here, but, the letter that was sent in by the first party, wasn't that with a bank, Chase Bank, and wasn't that dated 2009? I'm just going by memory. I can't find it in here for some reason.
November 17th, 2011.
Oh, it is 2011? Okay. Okay. Well, I'm just going to put it on the record. I mean, if I have my choice, I'd rather have cash than to go through payments.
Cash is king.
And that's just, I'm just throwing that out there.
Mayor.
Yes, sir.
Well, as long as she said that, I will not go for a $1 a year deal, period, or any kind of city financing. So I'll put that out there on the record.
Okay. Shelley, last but not least.
Mr. Mayor?
One more.
Yeah, I was just going to follow actually on what you were requesting. I think the mayor had actually raised a good idea, and that is, I think what he was proposing is a cheat sheet to say that the Kaufman and Sons, these were our certain conditions that we were looking for in any proposal, and that we could maybe provide to both of these applicants to say that what we want as a minimum is A, B, C, and D. And if they don't want to put A, B, and C, and D in there, they don't have to, but at least we know they were notified. They should have. They can't later claim, you can tell us.
What we had done was provided them with the latest and greatest on the Kaufman deal so that they could have a general idea. We didn't want to impose restriction on them because we weren't really sure what your policy objectives here were, so we didn't want to impose that on them. If you'd like us to, I'd be reluctant to do it just because we don't want to push somebody out when you decide, well, maybe I don't need 7 years, maybe I could do 5. And
But they received the last Kaufman contract, so they have a pretty good idea what conditions were already sitting out there to talk about and work around. Okay, that's fine.
And then one other thing, I hate to beat a dead horse, but I will need an answer on, do you want the Kaufmans to be allowed to resubmit or not? Because I'm going to have to give them an answer.
Yeah, not conditioned on financing. As long as we have to go with I mean, competition's great, so I have no problem with them throwing their hat in the ring, but again, they are
The
clear.
direction of the board, yes or no?
I'd say yes.
They're going to have cash.
Say what, man? You call down one.
Sorry.
You call down one, brother. I don't have a problem. That's 1, 2, 3. 4? Yeah, 4. Done.
4?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
That's the way I count. 1, 2, 3.
You count the 4, Mayor?
Stay with us, guys. You know, hopefully, you know, we can get our proposals in, and I think the council has demonstrated their commitment to having bowling here, and I hope you see that, and you'll submit your best proposals so they can make a decision. Okay?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen. Does the council have a pleasure, I mean, you want to continue on the way the agenda is written, or can we skip around a little bit here? Well, I just think things like the property insurance, we should be able to move up and move on it fairly quick. You know?
Well, we have some of the items.
Is another big discussion, another long...
Some of the items, Mayor, we didn't put on as a consent items because we didn't have the cow, but if there's a category of agenda that you'd like to clump into one resolution as if it were a consent item, I think, City Attorney, we'd have the ability to do that.
That's correct. You would have a motion amending the consent agenda to shift up designated items such as the ones shown in the motion section on page 3, the item C motions. Is that what you intend?
Or whatever your pleasure is.
At 10 through 16?
Can I?
Yeah, 10 through 16, correct.
No.
Mayor, may I give my report on Marley? I mean, I don't know if they're here or
We're
not.
going to go right back.
Oh, okay.
I just wanted to get some people...
I just have 2 monkeys locked in the back room, my little grandchildren.
Oh, you do? Oh, my God.
We may not have enough.
Okay, can we knock out 6 of them at one time by taking 10 through 16?
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
Unfortunately, I would like to discuss tab 13. Okay. So I don't want to just have a uniform vote on that one.
And
tab 14.
Okay, let's go back. Forget it. All right, I tried. We're here.
10 through 12.
Here we go. All right.
You can do one, Mayor? Yes, sir. You can do 1 through 12. Or 3 through 12.
16. 10 through 12?
Well, how are you going to do tab 2?
Well,
the discussion. Anyway, let's go ahead. And next item on the agenda is the Lay Sports Complex changes to the stadium lease. Staff report.
May I? Oh, you want to do staff report
I
first?
just want to see what... Well, it doesn't
Sure.
matter to me. I don't care. We'll start with council. We'll go quick. Boom, boom.
We have Ignacio here from Weiss Serota, and our...
He's coming with a big briefcase.
Okay.
I think I can streamline this by saying that you received a request by Wale that the following 2 items have been requested. Waiver of the property damage insurance requirements pursuant to the lease and purchase agreement between the City of Homestead and Lale Sports for the first 4 years of the lease agreement. And 2, that the lease and purchase agreement be modified as it pertains to permitted uses to allow all functions and activities other than those specifically exempted as per the City of Homestead. So their request is for those 2 changes to the lease, and we're going to need some direction from you as to how to proceed.
Are they here?
Is anyone here from Lale? Apparently not.
Well, can we just move on? You want to report on it?
Well,
I can.
I spent so much time on this. I'd like to give the council a report, and then if they choose to make a decision tonight, that's up to all of you. But I'll do it very quickly. I just wanted to give you, my...
2 sides to it.
Is that all right?
Sure.
Sure.
You want to go? No objections. Let's go.
Okay. I just wanted to give you a little timeline, and I just want to put on the record, I'm very surprised that no one's here. And this is a repetitive behavior that I've been dealing with. And it's quite frustrating. But in July, as you all know, the city and Lale entered into the lease of the stadium, and that took months and months and months, and obviously, to finalize. And then in August, our staff required the proof of insurance. And then in November, our attorneys notified them saying that they weren't in compliance with the contract. They never acknowledged, they never got back to you, correct? And then in December, at the COW meeting, it was up for discussion. Lale requested additional time to purchase the insurance, and the council even went out of their way and waived the past due amount, which was, I think, 5 months, it was about 5 months worth of insurance, and gave them an extension until January to have their insurance in place. And Mr. Ruiz stood right there at our podium and said, without a shadow of a doubt, that if we would waive that insurance and give him a chance to bring in a payment in January. But on January 5th, they did attempt to provide a check, and we couldn't accept it because the council had not ratified the decision to do that. But on January 10th, LaLe representatives stood before us once again and totally surprised us by saying that they were not asking that the city carry the insurance. They were asking that the city waive the insurance for a period of time. On February 3rd, myself, the city manager, our city attorney, Priscilla, excuse me, Enrique and Alexis from LaLe, we all met at City Hall, and both Enrique and Alexis, I asked them where Mr. Ruiz was, and they said that they were there to represent him on their behalf, and you know that I said all this. I asked them on the record if they had the right to speak on his behalf and to make decisions, and once again, they verified and confirmed that. They said that they agreed to deliver payment for January and February, and depending on the decision of the council. And on February 10th, LaLe asked that it be allowed to provide reimbursement to the city for the city's cost of covering the property. The city offered to waive the business interruption insurance, which is required in the lease. These are just things that I was going to bring back, you know, to waive the business interruption, just trying to meet their demands. And again, they assured us at that meeting that there would be a check forthcoming. On March 9th, I had a phone conference. We have staff there and Mr. Ruiz, excuse me. And then out of the blue, again, Mr. Ruiz indicated that the reimbursement option was no longer on the table. I asked LaLe to provide us with a letter just telling us exactly what they wanted, because it was going back and forth. You know, our first meeting it was, well, maybe if we could just add on 3 years into the back end, or, you know, there were several different options put out there. But in the letter that Mr. Ruiz did supply to us, he was very clear that he was asking us to waive it for 4 years, and that the lease and the purchase agreement be modified as it pertains to permitted uses to allow all functions and activities other than those specifically exempt as per the City of Homestead. Now, in our first meeting, we offered to work with them with making some exceptions of bringing it back to council, that maybe not everything they would have to come forward to council and ask for permission to do, but certainly not all these items were agreed upon. It's very important that you know, excuse me, the things that we have already done for LaLe, and that is to waive the insurance coverage again from July to December, and that value is about $66,000. We agreed, and I met with Kathy Nicotra from T.R. Jones. We agreed again to reduce the insured amount, and I believe it was about $3 million, wasn't it, Kathy? I think so. We took out the fences and the outbuildings and different things.
She needs to come to the podium if she's going to answer.
Well, I don't think it's necessary. I'll go on. I'll strike that question. But by the city agreeing to carry the insurance for LaLe and fronting it, we're saving them approximately $48,000. We again offered to suggest to waive the business interruption insurance, and that's totally up to them. It would be to their advantage to have it, but if they don't want to have it, I was willing to bring that back to the city. We also waived the deposit for water, sewer, and electric, which isn't unusual, but still it's a $25,000 deposit, which we agreed to waive. And the continued free rent of the facility for 2 years, and year 3 and 4, $25,000, and so on and so forth. I think the most important thing here, excuse me, is that, you know, I truly love LaLe. I mean, I really, really do. I mean, they came in, they took a damaged building and they made it into a beauty. But we are a business, and that's what a lot of times we forget. We are a business, and that contract was negotiated for months and months and months. And each party thought that contract was fair. We thought it was fair. The $25,000 utility deposit that was waived, that, like I said, that's not unusual, but the utilities have not been current since March of 2011. And right now they owe approximately $41,500 in utility fees. So, but yet we're working with them, we're trying to work with them. And now they're coming to the council and asking us to put the burden on the taxpayers to continue to pay for property insurance. I can't do that. I can't do that because I don't think it's fair to the Seminole Theater. I don't think it's fair to the racetrack. I don't think it's fair to Keys Gate. I just don't think it's fair because we had a contract and we agreed to that contract and we are reducing the fees. We are working with them. We did cover the first 5 months. And I know that, Mr. Reeves is an attorney. And our parties knew what was required. So, that's my report, Mayor. I'm very disappointed. And I'm going to put that out there on the record. I am really disappointed. This is exactly what happened to me the first time we met. Mr. Reeves was supposed to be there. He sent 2 people, said that they were to speak on his behalf, that they had the right to speak on his behalf, and then all of a sudden, he doesn't show up, and now tonight, I'm just giving a report. I mean, I don't even have anybody to argue with. So, I just think that's disrespectful to the city after all that we've done for them, and knowing that they have done a lot for us as well. So I'm hoping that we can get back to basics. I don't know where this came from. I was absolutely blown away when his representatives took the podium and said that, no, we want to waive the insurance, not just tack the insurance on in 4 years or make some other concession. So that's my report, Mayor.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes.
Mayor?
Where are we at? Yes, Mr. Excuse me, real quick, let me extend the meeting. Motion to extend the meeting.
Motion to extend the meeting to 9:30.
Okay. Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Second.
All right.
Item 2.
Thank you. Mr. Williams, you got the floor.
I mean AM, not AM.
Whatever you, talk fast.
Yes. Question. So there, you asked, Mayor, can I talk to Councilwoman Waldman for a moment?
Sure.
You're saying that they're asking us to now waive the insurance?
Yes, for 4 years, and they're asking us to allow them to have full carte blanche to have any event they want to have out there, as long as it's not against a city ordinance or city code. So that's what they're asking for.
So they want us to pay for the insurance then? They want us to...
For 4 years, yes, sir.
For 4 years?
Yes, sir.
This is not one of their first requests. I just think if we open up this door of askings, that they'll come back with something else for us to take over when they're supposed to be taking over the entire complex. And I don't think I'd like to set that precedent in doing so. My other issue that I have is that they're asking for this and they're not even here tonight. And I just don't know how long this relationship will continue. I know they've been doing very well at what they're doing by providing services to the city, but I think at this moment I'm really not in support of that. So at this moment, are they technically in breach of their lease at this moment? I guess that's a question to the city manager or the attorney.
Yes, they are.
Unless we give them, unless we change this or add an addendum to the lease.
Unless we agree to what they're requesting.
So if we do not agree tonight, what happens?
They would be in default, and it is our option to then terminate a lease
Or the nicer thing, I think, would be say to them, the council discussed this, they've decided to hold you to the agreement, please pay the insurance like you agreed to, and give them an opportunity to do that, and that would be our intent if that's your will.
Councilwoman Woolman, did they discuss with you why they wanted us to take on that liability of paying the insurance? Did they
Well,
have that discussion with you?
In a way they did. It was quite a meeting, that particular meeting. I never really got a straight answer. Did you? I never got a.
No, ma'am. No, I didn't.
I asked many times. I asked that question, but
They claim that they are still in the
Building mode.
in what?
Building mode.
Yeah, in the building mode, they haven't reached break even, and that every dollar that they would be spending on this thing would come out of his pocket, basically.
Say that again. I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
My understanding is that the claim for not or asking for a waiver is because they are in the upward movement and they have not reached break even or beyond. Therefore, any dollars that they spend in addition to what they are already spending in putting up all of these activities would come out of his pocket. That's my understanding.
Okay.
His pocket or some other company that he has, but not necessarily this one.
I got you.
Let me weigh in just a second. I think that we spent a lot of time on this already, and I appreciate, Ms. Wallman, you going back and forth and meeting with them, but you're right, them not even representing themselves here tonight just kind of just, I think it just says what I said 60 days ago, is we're going to wake up one morning, their equipment's going to be gone, the lock's going to be on the gate, and we're going to be back with a locked up, empty, breaking down, cobweb facility. We have to decide here, as the leaders of this community, just like the bowling alley tonight, $500,000, I have a hard time stomaching that, because I know it's worth, that property is probably worth more than $500,000, but not as a bowling alley, it's not. So we have to say to ourselves, quality of life. What is the quality of life that we're trading off for this building replacement insurance? Because I want to make it very clear on the record. They have insurance. They do not have catastrophic building replacement costs that cost us, if we took it off today, we'd get a return of about $47,000 according to Mr. Jones. $47,000, but yet it cost him $150,000 to buy a year. We're putting that on him. If that building blew down tomorrow, God forbid it didn't with kids in it or anybody around it, I can tell you there's developers sitting in this room right now today that would buy it for double what we have right now in it. Because the value of it would go straight up for what they could put on it. So it's not logic what we're saying here tonight. We're trading quality of life for an insurance policy that I don't think it is even applicable. I don't think it's even applicable for the venue. I don't believe we've been paid 19 years of it. I have a hard time swallowing that we did. But we did. So I think they're already on the way out. It's obvious they're not here. I think if they don't get what they want, and I agree with Mr. Williams, even if they do get what they want tonight, there's something else next, something else next. Look, we're way ahead of the game right now. Way ahead of the game. Right. I can tell you they put $1 million in that place. They had to have. They turned every field, every fence, every seat, every skybox, you name it. We had carpet on the floor, they got marble on the floor. They did a yeoman's job in rebuilding it. Why they did that, I don't know. Something motivated them to do it, and they had, the old Field of Dreams. Build it and they will come. Build it and they will come, and I guess that was his dream. But they're not making it. And it's obvious they're not making it because they're not sitting in that front row tonight. So we have to decide, do we move them on now? We wait and they move on a year from now. But I can tell you, there are parents that are our employees right here at the City of Homestead that have told me it's the best after-school program, it's the best baseball program they've ever had their child in. and I had that discussion yesterday. So we have to decide, are we throwing the baby out with the bathwater? What do we really do here? Because we just walked away from a situation right now that I know we're not going to get the full value for it, but we're going to get quality of life for our people. We're going to get a bowling center that hundreds of thousands of people in Homestead, out of 62,000 people, I can use the word thousands of people are going to use that bowling center in some way, shape or form to better their quality of life for an evening or afternoon. I can tell you my son's autistic and he loves to bowl. And a lot of autistic kids go to these bowling centers and spend hours there. Quality of life. Is it the 100? I think, Tom, what was I shouldn't ask you, our number was about $60,000 it cost us. But it cost him $150. I think it was 50 or 60,000. I asked if we removed that number today, what would be the value we got back? And I understand why. It's a big blanket policy we're getting. So the number we're going to get back for it is not the number that you're right that we pay in. So if we pay in 120, I think it is, we're going to get back 50,000, 40,000 back. I don't know, the number we pay in is probably 120,000 or less than that. I think it's 90 to 100,000. So you got to say, is that quality of life per year worth that? Because if you look at the park and recs that we run, and we run a phenomenal park and recs. If you look at the 34-acre park alone, what we're going to pay a year, and the upkeep and the oversight of that park, he's carrying the cost for us right now on the same deal but better, because he actually has 52 people there every day doing something, teaching baseball, teaching dance, teaching computer, you name it. They just keep expanding it. So what I see them doing is they're dumping the money in, just like this guy in the bowling center said, I'm going to put $2.5 million in that center. So that made me feel a little bit better about a $500,000 buy. But it's got to be a quality life issue. You got to ask yourself tonight, what do we do? Because you're going to turn a lot of young kids away that are there right now. A lot of young kids. And a lot of kids that are looking at that summer program. It's probably going to be one of the best summer programs in Dade County, and all of Dade County. And I can tell you, when this guy was in Tallahassee with Baptist Health Systems and me, he was definitely known throughout Tallahassee in his youth sports. So, do we take one of the best organizations around Dade County and tell them, look, we're not going to give you a second chance. Pay up or get out. That's what we're saying. I think Ms. Mullen had...
Well, I was just going to say that Kathy, maybe you need to come to the podium, because the figures that we worked out, and
really the figures to me are irrelevant. If it's 120 or it's 140, I had them here. I think it's $100-something thousand.
Well, okay.
For that.
All right.
Like, even if it's 150, I know the difference. It was 150 if he bought it, 147,000, 150,000 if he bought it. But we bought it. It's cheaper because we're buying it under a blanket policy. We got.
And we did lower it.
Yeah.
About $48,000.
I think you had great offers to him, but obviously it's not working. He feels I believe they feel like that they're micromanaged. I feel like that they feel like that everything they try to do, they have to come here and ask permission and jump through hoops to get it done. And I don't think they're a fit. I think they're going to move on. So,
may I answer then?
Yes, Ms. Williams.
Thank you. So, Mayor, let me ask you a question then. What are you saying? Are you saying that, because my statement, let me preface, my statement was not to kick them out. I asked the attorney, what is the next step? What happens if they do not comply? Right. I don't know. I'm trying to get your statement, what you're trying to say. What are you trying to say here? What are you trying to say?
We have to say, whatever that dollar amount is, let's just take the high number. It's $150,000 a year. Do we as a city take back that insurance policy? Because if they only rented, they wouldn't be required to pay that replacement cost if they only rented. But somehow we got that whole insurance thing into the package. I'm surprised there's not terrorism insurance on it too, because we could have got whatever we wanted to out of them to begin with. So I'm saying, do we weigh quality of life versus that $150,000 it's going to cost the city, or $120,000, or whatever it boils down to, Tom, $90,000. Are we going to take that $90,000 and say, okay, we're not going to pay for it. You're paying for it, or else?
So you're saying that the city should absorb the cost of that? Is that what you're saying?
Oh, without a doubt, because to me, the quality of life, thank you, the quality of life is so much greater than with that $100,000. It's so much greater. You can make a point here tonight You can say, you didn't do right, and you didn't do this, and you didn't do that, but we're going to pay for it dearly. We're going to pay for it in the youth that go out there right now. Is there a guesstimation how much they spent? Did we even try to tally up what we thought they spent out there?
I don't think we've seen any receipts, or Dennis, we don't.
I just think
No, I haven't received any kind of figure what they put into it.
I don't think they can figure, but
Yeah. So you're saying to absorb the cost, and then the other statement was that, they're probably going to be on their way out the door anyway, so.
Well, I think it's like you said. I kind of believe what you're saying. I think that if we give them this, then there's going to be something else and something else. So, do we prolong it through the summer to get the summer program that they deliver throughout Dade County? Because this isn't their only facility.
Right.
To me, it's a quality of life decision. It's not the 100 and whatever thousand it's costing for insurance. Because we pay far more than that for the upkeep of Harris Field, far more than that for the upkeep of J.D. Red, far more than that for the upkeep of Roscoe Warren Park, far more. And I can tell you, I'm out there every morning walking with my wife, and there are 20 people out there walking or doing something, or in the dog park, and they're getting it's phenomenal quality of life, and we're paying for it. And that's what we're here for. We're here to deliver quality of life. That's what our job is. That's how I see my job.
Mayor, may I?
Yeah, Mr. Shelley, he hadn't had a chance yet.
Mr. Mayor, thank you. I agree. Lele is a great asset here to the city of Homestead as far as the programs that they provide. They give back to the local community. They give back to the local charities. I think they've done a great job in excelling in that. However, my biggest problem with this whole issue is that, we had many organizations that were vying for this particular stadium, and we entered into negotiations with them all. And they all had their proposals, they all had their plans, they all made their promises. And the key for Lele winning this bid and taking over the stadium was, one, they were going to relieve us from our expenses and our costs related to the stadium, which included the insurance, which included the maintenance, which included all these things that they were supposed to take on. That was one of the biggest selling points. The second thing was that they were going to bring business to our community. They were going to bring in but they're going to have these bands play, they're going to have all these concerts, they're going to have all these things that are going to bring all these residents to our city limits and to our businesses. And they haven't done that yet either. They've provided great services for our local kids, which I commend them for. I think that is a fantastic thing. However, they haven't gone to the next step that they promised, and that is bringing in all these people. What are they going to do to attract people from outside our borders to our city to spend dollars within our community? And they haven't done that yet. And so my problem is that, now if we agree to waive this property insurance, what we are essentially doing is we are subsidizing this organization to come within our city limits. They're no longer relieving us from a liability. They're not paying us any rent the first couple of years. So we are now essentially paying to have a company or an entity exist within our borders that hasn't necessarily proven that they can bring those dollars back in some other form. And so I have real issues with that. And that's the biggest problem I have here with their proposal, is that, if we'd gone with somebody else, maybe they would have succeeded. But we didn't, based on their promises and based on this contract and this negotiation that went forth. And so that's really where I stand. And then as far as number two as well, I think that they've come twice before us to get permission to do various events and functions, and we've approved both of them because they made their case, it made sense. We had a chance to look at it. And there was no cost to them, as far as I understand. There was no application fee. They just sent in the letter and said, we'd like to appear, and we will ask the question, and we can answer it. So I don't think we give them unfettered use to do whatever they want to do at that site. It still exists within our city. We still have to make sure that the events that they are holding are events that are good for our community, and so I think we have the final say there. I don't think we should give up that control either. And that's kind of my position on it. I hope Lele succeeds. I hope that they come to the table. I'd like to work with them as best we can to find a solution, but waiving the insurance is not an option for me.
Well, I'm not here to debate my colleagues tonight on that issue. I'm really kind of done with Lele and the whole thing because I'm very upset too they're not here tonight to defend themselves and at least lay it on the line what the deal is. If we can't see the value in the youth sports for that dollar amount, then we let them move on. We just move on with the whole project. I don't see any problem. I know the number two. If you think back, the number 2 players the night that we were here and we chose Lele. I chose the other company. I didn't choose Lele because they were local people. But I'm going to tell you right now, they didn't have the wherewithal. These people made believers out of me, and I voted against them. I voted for our local people here who had brought some out-of-town people in. They could have never done the job that these people did. They weren't even in the same ballpark. They were retired baseball players. They were former contractors. This guy already had his whole sporting thing together. Oh, AC has arrived. So I know that. I don't know. So I'm not here to debate. I'm just I'm voted up or down. I think it goes back to quality of life and what we're losing out there when they leave. Yes.
Well, I'm in total agreement with you on the quality of life and that they've done great things out there with their kids. And I could perhaps swallow the insurance deal. One, if they were here tonight. Two, if they hadn't keep changing their story every time they come around. And three, if they had paid their electric bill within the last year.
I hear you.
I mean, I don't know what else to do. I mean, them not even being here tonight just shows that they don't, excuse my French, they don't give a damn anymore. They're going to do whatever they want to do, and they don't care what we say. And that upsets me because I was a great believer in them when they came here. I've been a great supporter of them while they've been here, but it makes it very difficult to want to support them any longer with their actions of not even showing up for a meeting tonight. So I'll leave it at that, and we'll do a vote or whatever we need to do.
I hear you.
Mayor Bayman?
Yes, Ms. Wallman.
Again, no one, I'm certainly not, and I don't think any of my colleagues are sitting up here saying anything negative about LaLaye as far as what they do for the community. We all appreciate it. I worked closely with them last year with the Cinco de Mayo, and they couldn't have been more generous or gracious as far as helping the city out and providing entertainment. But at the end of the day, we are a business. We are not only responsible for the kids that are in the programs at LaLaye, but we're responsible to every taxpayer in the city of Homestead. And we're also responsible to the contracts that we already have. And those contracts, we require property insurance. I am still so confused as to why the owner stood before us in December and promised something and then just out of the blue changed the mind, and the city manager was not aware of it. We all came to this dais thinking what we saw in our book was what it was going to be. And then he still doesn't have the courtesy to be here. He sends his representatives. But I don't think they're out. I think that this is just a good tactic, that if they can not pay the insurance, and that's great. But I don't think they're out. I think they're having hard times, as all of us are. But as of right now, I still do not understand why the decision to change was made, the process was made. So I'll just leave it at that. It's not about quality. I have no issues with our quality of life. We all want quality of life for our citizens. But when it comes right down to it, it's dollars and cents, and it's how the city operates, and it's also answering to the other people who are going to be paying for that if that's the decision that's going to be made here tonight. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
For the record, Mayor,
Sure,
if
yes,
I
ma'am.
may.
Please.
I'm not going to belabor the point. I'm very disappointed that they're not here this evening because I had a litany of questions to ask them. I would have been amenable to negotiating with the insurance lease, but I have some concerns, deep-seated concerns, about the utility bill that has not been paid within the last, last year. I have a lot of respect for LaLaye. I respect what they do for our community, but at the end of the day, as Vice Mayor said, it is a business, and the fact that they're not even here to answer the questions is very unsettling to me. So, however you guys would like to proceed, I'm prepared to go there.
Well, I think that you were looking for direction, right? So
Yes.
The direction strongly looks, that we tell them no. Don't want it. No, there's more than 4 votes to tell them no, I'm sure. So tell them no.
And ask them to provide the insurance payments?
On behalf of my council, that I get a majority yes. They want them to pay up. pay their electric bill, pay their insurance bills, pay them whatever they got to pay.
How much time would you like to give them before we notify them that?
I have a question, Mayor, please.
Sure.
If that is the will of the council, then the back payments, January, February, and March, that's $30,000, and then April 1st is coming up. Of course, now I think it would be around $9,000 a month because of the buildings that we took out. But so they would have to comply with the entire amount. Is that correct?
That's your desire. The intent of what you had offered at the beginning, they knew that as of the beginning of the year they were going to have to start paying. And so, at some point they were prepared to bring a check. So I don't think that'll come as a surprise to them. And I don't know that that's necessarily in dispute. If you all say that that was your intent and you want us to start enforcing the contract, I would suggest that if you want them to stay, just give us a little flexibility on whether it's a half a month or a month, have them get all their stuff in. Technically, we're required to apply the contract as is written, and we don't really have the discretion to not deal with the breach. So if you tell us it's okay to give them 2 weeks or 4 weeks to make all their payments, then that's what we'll do, or specify a period of time.
Question, Mayor?
Yes, Mr. Williams.
So let me just be clear on the insurance. Are they coming under our umbrella and they will reimburse us, or do they have to seek their own insurance for that
That would be a decision that you all would have to make. Our assumption was that you were okay with them reimbursing us. And then somewhere along the way, then they asked for something different. So the first question would be, are you comfortable with them reimbursing the city for the insurance, which would in fact require a change in the contract? If the answer to that is yes, then we'll move forward in bringing you back the paperwork.
Okay. It's about $30,000 difference.
Oh, okay.
If they continue with the city plan versus buying on their own, guesstimation for Mr. Jones was about $30,000 difference.
Now, I kind of understand that we've got the first part settled, but what about the second part of what they're asking in their lease, of giving them kind of free reign with the events that they're having or different programs they want to try and ignite and start?
If your answer to that request is no, then we just continue going on the way the contract is written, and they'd have to come back anytime they deviate from what's allowed by the lease.
Okay, so my no is on the insurance. I don't know about the second part. I hadn't heard from my colleagues.
Your no is no to the free insurance, but yes to it's okay for them to reimburse the city for the actual cost.
Correct.
Okay. Is that the direction of the council or mayor? I don't know which.
Listen, if it was my choice, I'd say waive the insurance, get the electric bill paid tomorrow, and get on with the show. But I've got a council I respect, and let's hear your opinions. What's the majority of the council's decision here on item 1, which is he's asking insurance? Do we let them pay it, or do
the first question is, are you okay with them changing the contract to allow them to reimburse us for the cost of the insurance as opposed to the way it's
Myself, if we decide to collect the insurance from them, yes, I'm fine with reimbursement. I mean, because...
Is that the will of the council?
Yeah, that's fine with me. Reimbursement is fine. Yes or no? Yeah.
Yes.
So there's 4.
Okay. So, and then in terms of the time period, is a month okay to give them to have their check in, or do you want that as of tomorrow? I mean, really...
30 days.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, I mean, I think I'm willing to work with them a little bit there on that portion. You know, I'm not willing to waive it for them as far as going forward, but if we can find a solution that gets them to, 1, pay their electric bill, get that caught up, because I think that's important, and then 2, maybe make some sort of a payment plan, but at least an immediate payment of some kind to show their good faith effort, and then work with them going forward. I'm okay with that, but then starting from whenever the next payment's due in full, it better be paid in full.
Is that the will of the council or mayor?
Is that the Jimmy's?
Yeah.
Fine.
I'm okay with that. So, may I ask a question?
Is it okay with you?
Oh, I'm sorry,
Okay.
John.
There's 1, 2, 3, 4. Go ahead. Floor is yours. 4 people. I'm trying to move on because the meeting...
Well, I'm sorry, but I'm the one that did all this research, and I just want to make sure that I understand
I think
that...
the point's made.
I just want to understand that Mr. Shelley said that when the next, was it Mr. Shelley that said that when the next payment is due, which is April 1st, so you're saying give them 30 days and then the May 1st, everything has to be done? Is that what you're saying?
Assuming it's the will of the council, what we would do is work with Lale to amend the agreement to allow for the reimbursement provision, bring that to the next council meeting, and then at that point have them provide some, payment plan that would be to your liking, which we'll discuss with them over the next couple of weeks with your assistance.
And the next thing that we need to decide tonight is the contract needs to be amended to say that they have the right to either to take the business interruption insurance or not. So that's something we need to ask the council as well.
Mr. Williams, business interruption?
Yes. What about it?
Force them to take the business interruption, and that means that if their business is interrupted, they're reimbursed.
We offer to allow them to drop that provision in the contract because the risk to the city is fairly minimal. So we thought if that was
something that they wanted to initiate.
We offered that, and during our discussions, we offered that as a way to help them defray some of their costs without really creating any liability for the city.
So we want to impose, you're saying, asking me if we want to impose that on them?
Right now, the contract imposes that on them, and so
and
what
they don't want
the
it.
proposal is to eliminate that provision from the contract.
Yeah, I don't have insurance. Explain to what the insurance
The
does.
business interruption insurance is the provision so that if somehow, the theory at the time that provision was negotiated is if they go out of business or they have some problem with their business cash flow, that somehow the insurance would protect us and make sure that we get our payments. But as you look through it, the risk to the city is fairly minimal, and so we thought that would be one way to have a win-win scenario without the city losing anything.
I'll let them, I vote drop that.
Yeah. Do you really believe that they're going to pay us something if they go out of business? Do you believe that insurance company's going to, if they just disintegrate, they don't exist anymore?
I think the spirit of that was more if there's some major issue that interrupts their business.
Yeah, a storm, catastrophic, something that happens that they,
Yeah, it doesn't matter to me. Yeah, that's fine.
So
yeah, they can get rid of it.
Doesn't matter. Okay. Great. And then next item, we have one more, which is the
special events.
Yeah, what do we decide?
I'm assuming that the will of the council is to leave the provision as it is, and if they want to deviate...
As it is.
Yeah.
As it is.
Okay.
Thank you. You're welcome. Okay, next item. Make a motion to extend. Oh, I got 2 to 3 more minutes. We had 5, 6. That was just item 2. Okay, here we go. Consent agenda. This is a biggie right here. February 22nd, 2012 council meeting consent agenda.
Move it.
Thank you. Second. Okay, all in favor? Okay. Here we go. Nays? Okay. Motion carries. Public hearing ordinances, land use items, quasi-judicial. Mr. Attorney. Swear them all in.
Wake up over there, Dave.
It's number 8, and then you swear them all in, then we'll get on with the...
Yes. Please be advised the following items on the agenda are quasi-judicial nature. If you wish to comment upon any of these items, please indicate the item number you would like to address when the announcement regarding the quasi-judicial item is made. An opportunity for persons to speak on each item will be made available after the applicant and staff have made their presentations on each item. Swearing in, all testimony, including public testimony and evidence, will be made under oath or affirmation. Additionally, each person who gives testimony may be subject to cross-examination. If you do not wish to either be cross-examined or sworn, your testimony will be given its due weight. The general public will not be permitted to cross-examine witnesses, but the public may request the council to ask questions of staff or witnesses on their behalf. The full agenda packet for each item is hereby entered into the record. Persons representing organizations must present evidence of their authority to speak for the organization, and further details of the quasi-judicial procedures may be obtained from the clerk. In accordance with Code Section 2-591, any lobbyist must register before addressing the council on any of the following items. And at this time, council members must disclose any ex parte communications concerning any items on the agenda.
Okay.
Hearing none, at this time, the clerk will swear any persons who wish to testify on any of the following quasi-items.
Please stand and raise your right hand and repeat after me.
Your right hand, Johnson.
I state your name. Hereby swear or affirm that the information I present shall be the truth, and nothing but the truth, so help me God.
I think that's all I need.
Thank you.
The tab 4, the first item on your agenda this evening, is the second reading of an ordinance of the City of Homestead, Florida, granting the request of Walmart Stores East LP for an amendment to ordinance number 950642, providing for removal of a previously approved use variance, allowing automobile services and facilities on an approximately 5.48 acre site located at 1499 South Dixie Highway as legally described in Exhibit A and providing for an effective date. This is second and final reading.
Thank you. Motion to move on.
Move it. Second.
Okay, can we skip staff report since we know it, guys? Is that all right?
Excuse me, Mayor, at this time, could you have a further motion?
Oh, yes,
to extend to
5
a
members.
certain time?
Thank you.
5 members.
Motion to extend the meeting to,
Yes, sir.
what, 9 o'clock?
10:30, you mean?
9:30?
10 o'clock, I move that we extend the meeting to 10 p.m.
Okay, good deal.
Thank you.
All right.
Clerk will record a unanimous vote on that. Thank you.
Can we move this thing forward by opening the public, asking the council questions and moving, can we skip some of these items?
Excuse me, I'm sorry.
Staff report, I don't think we need staff report second.
This be entered in the record.
Okay. No, I meant for this first ordinance here.
Yes, the
Correct.
staff report may be entered into the record.
Okay. Any questions from council? Okay, I'll open the public hearing. Any questions from the public? Hearing none, seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Any final questions from council? Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Excuse me. Vice Chairman Burgess?
Yes.
Board Member Fairclough McCormick?
Yes.
Board Member Shelley?
Yes.
Board Member Williams?
Yes.
Board Member Waldman? Absent. Board Member Bateman?
Yes. Thank you, Madam Clerk.
Moving on to your next item, tab 5. Tab 5 is the first reading of an ordinance of the City of Homestead, Florida, considering the request of the City of Homestead, CRA, for a rezoning of an approximately 2.39 acre parcel from General Use District G to Retail Commercial District B2 for property generally located between North Flagler, East Maui Drive, the South Miami-Dade Busway, and Northeast 2nd Drive, as legally described in Exhibit A and providing for an effective date. This is first reading.
Move it.
Second.
Thank you. Questions from council? Okay, I'll open the public hearing. Questions from the public? Hearing none, seeing none, we'll close the public hearing. Final questions from council. Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Board Member Fairclough McCormick?
Yes.
Board Member Shelley?
Yes.
Vice Chairman Burgess?
Yes.
Board Member Williams?
Yes.
Chairman Bateman?
Yes. Okay, here's where we have to go to tab 8 before we go to 6, correct?
Yes, Mayor. Moving on to tab 8. Tab 8 is the first reading of an ordinance of the City of Homestead, Florida, granting the request of Williams Agricultural Enterprises for a small-scale amendment to the comprehensive plan by changing the land use designation of an approximately 2.1 acre parcel from low-density residential use LRU to light commercial use LCU, located south of Casile Heights subdivision, west of the Homestead extension of the Florida Turnpike, east of Kingman Road and north of Campbell Drive, as legally described in Exhibit A and providing for an effective date.
Okay, motion to move it on?
Move it.
Thank you. Second?
Second.
Okay, here, first reading, we need staff report.
Yes, sir. Staff recommends that the mayor and council approve the proposed ordinance requesting a small-scale amendment to the comprehensive plan. Like was mentioned in the introduction, the applicant is attempting to amend the comprehensive plan for an unimproved 2.18 acre parcel from low-density residential to light commercial use. Right now, the land use designation is general use district, and that's really a holding spot that needs to be rezoned before any development can happen on the site. So they're in the process of doing that, and then we'll deal with the subsequent zoning amendment in the next tab, which will allow them to develop their property as
Regional
commercial.
Board, staff's in favor of this, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right, questions from council? All right, hearing none, seeing none, open the public hearing. Questions from the public? Hearing none, seeing none, close the public hearing. Final questions from council. Okay, Madam Clerk?
Councilman Williams?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Burgess? Absent. Councilwoman Fairclough McCormick?
Yes.
Councilman Shelley?
Yes.
Mayor Bateman?
Yes. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Okay, back to tab 6.
Yes, tab 6 is the first reading of an ordinance of the City of Homestead, Florida, considering the request of Williams Agricultural Enterprises for a rezoning of an approximately 2.1 acre parcel from general use district to restricted retail commercial B1 for property located south of Casale Heights subdivision, west of the Homestead extension of the Florida Turnpike, east of Kingman Road, and north of Campbell Drive, is legally described in Exhibit A and providing for an effective date. First reading.
Okay. Move it. Staff?
Yes, sir. We recommend that you all approve the proposed ordinance change. This is the companion issue to the item we just suggested, changing from the G land use. This zoning is compatible with that, and we recommend approval.
Thank you, staff. All right, questions from council? Nothing? Open the public hearing. Questions from the public? Hearing none, seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Final questions from council. Madam Clerk?
Councilwoman Fairclough McCormick?
Yes.
Councilman Shelley?
Yes.
Councilman Williams?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Burgess? Absent. Mayor Bateman?
Yes. Okay, tab 7.
Yes. Moving on to tab 7. Tab 7 is the second reading of an ordinance of the City of Homestead, Florida, amending the City Code of Ordinances by amending Chapter 32 Design Standards, Article 5 Public Art Program, Section 3238 Applicability, providing for severability, providing for inclusion in the code, providing for conflicts, and providing for a second date. This is second and final reading.
Thank you. Motion? Move it. Thank you. Second? Okay. Questions from council? I'll open the public hearing. Questions from the public? Hearing none, seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Final questions from council. Madam Clerk?
Vice Mayor Burgess?
Yes.
Councilwoman Fairclough McCormick?
Yes.
Councilman Shelley?
Yes.
Councilman Williams?
Yes.
Mayor Bateman?
Yes. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Tab 9, we're moving right along.
Yes, tab 9 is the first reading of an ordinance of the City of Homestead, Florida, amending the City Code of Ordinances by amending Chapter 28 Utilities, Article 7 Electricity, to create Division 7 Net Metering Program for customer-owned renewable generation systems, to establish a program to encourage the use of renewable energy, set rate schedules, and provide technical specifications to applicants, providing for inclusion in the code, providing for conflicts, providing for severability, and providing for an effective date. This is first reading.
Motion?
Move it.
Second. Oh, thank you. Staff report, since it's a first.
Staff recommends approval of the ordinance.
Okay. All right. All right. Open the public comment. Hearing none, seeing none, I'll close the public comment. Any final questions from council? Madam Clerk?
Vice Mayor Burgess?
Yes.
Councilwoman Fairclough McCormick?
Yes.
Councilman Shelley?
Yes.
Councilman Williams?
Yes.
Mayor Bateman?
Yes. Okay, we've got property insurance for the city-owned property, excluding power plant substations. Entertain a motion.
Move it.
Second, thank you. Staff report.
There's one typo on the report. Vivian?
Yes, good evening, Mayor and Council. On tab 10, there is a typo on the second date of the second sentence. It says, staff recommends that the Mayor and Council approve the motion to purchase commercial property coverage for the policy term of, and it's March 31st, 2012, and it should be March 31st, 2013. Okay. It says January right now.
Thank you, ma'am. Okay. Any questions, final questions from council? At this time, I'll open the public hearing. Any questions from the public? Hearing none, seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Final questions from council. Madam Clerk?
Councilwoman Fairclough McCormick?
Yes.
Councilman Shelley?
Yes.
Councilman Williams?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Burgess?
Yes.
Mayor Bateman?
Yes. Okay. Tab 12, property insurance for power plant substation. Move it.
Second.
Thank you. Staff report.
Staff recommends that the Mayor and Council approve the motion to purchase commercial property insurance on the power plant and the substations.
Okay. Questions from council? I'll open the public hearing. Questions from the public? Hearing none, seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Final questions from council. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilman Shelley?
Yes.
Councilman Williams?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Burgess?
Yes.
Councilwoman Fairclough McCormick?
Yes.
Mayor Bateman?
Yes. Okay. Is it
Good. Terrorism insurance policy. Staff report. A motion to move it on, sorry. Move it. Second.
Second.
Thank you. Staff report.
Okay, there's one more correction here. I apologize, but also the dates were off by a couple of numbers. It says staff recommends that the mayor and council approve a motion to purchase a terrorism insurance policy from Hiscox Lloyd's for the policy term of, and it's March 31st, 2012 to March 31st, 2013.
Okay, thank you. Questions from council? Okay, I'll open the public hearing. Questions from the public? Hearing none, seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Any final questions from council? Madam Clerk?
Councilman Williams?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Burgess?
Yes.
Councilwoman Fairclough McCormick?
Yes.
Councilman Shelley?
Yes.
Mayor Bateman?
Yes. Okay, tab 13, purchase and installation of topsoil and Bahia sod. Entertain a motion to move it on.
Move it.
Thank you. Second.
Second.
Thank you. Staff report.
Mayor, on November 16, 2011, council gave staff direction to purchase and install topsoil and Bahia sod at the city site located on Washington Avenue between Northeast 2nd Street and Northeast 4th Street as part of beautification efforts. Street divisions paired the land in-house by leveling the ground prior to the installation of topsoil and Bahia sod. Staff recommends the mayor and council approve and award bid 201213 for the purchase and installation of topsoil and Bahia sod to the lowest, most responsive bidder, A1A Sod, Sand, and Soil, Inc. Total project cost is $47,133.12.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir.
I have a question, or actually a comment on this one. When this first came before us, I think it was back in November of last year or so, and it was proposed, because I agree, there's a sightly, it's an unsightly area with the fence as it currently sits, and so the idea was we were going to put sod down, make it a kind of a green space, put a little foots around it to make it nicer and more appealing until we figure out what we're going to do with the property. And at the time, it was represented that it was going to be about a $15,000 project, and I was okay with that. However, now that I see it, it's actually a $47,000 project, and then on top of that, the fence isn't included in this price, as I understand it. There's another $18,000 for the fence. So we're talking about $60,000 for a potential temporary solution before we had any kind of discussion on what's the ultimate goal with that property. And I think that we're putting the cart before the horse. I think that we need to determine what the long-term plan is for that property, one way or another, before we turn around and invest money, because if we just make a decision under our capital improvement to build something on that site, to sell that site, then we've just kind of thrown out $60,000, which I kind of have a concern about, a problem with. And then the other thing I have a problem with is that it shows that we're going to take this money from a city hall fund, I guess because somehow it's related to the city hall site. And again, until we make a decision on whether or not that fund should remain restricted for a city hall, I don't think we should be touching that fund. And I think those discussions need to be had first before we move on to spending that money from that account or for improving that. I mean, I just think we need to have that first discussion, make decisions as a council, and move forward, and then figure out what we're going to do. So I can't support this current proposal because of the expense involved and without having a long-term plan.
Mayor?
Yes.
Question to Councilman Shelley. Well, not yet, but question to the manager. Is that fund restricted at all? It is no restriction.
The fund is being held, whether it's technically a designated restricted fund, I don't believe it is technically, but the instructions from the elected body has been to not breach those funds for anything but City Hall related activity, and it comes before you, so that's really the only thing. The restriction is more of a policy direction from the council.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
No, I yield. We only have 18 minutes left.
Okay. Staff report, we did. Questions from council. Any final questions from council? I'll open the public hearing. Any questions from the public? Hearing none, seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Final questions from council. Dennis, is there any other way that we could make this a little more reasonable to satisfy Councilman Shelley? Can you seat it?
Seating it would be kind of hard for us to let you know. It's such an open area like that, and it's over almost it's 195,000 square feet, Mayor.
Yeah.
So it's very big. That would be kind of difficult to seat. The fence did come back at 18,000 because we had a request that the scope of work wasn't right. I think it first came back at 10,000. I rescoped it, and it came back at 18,000. So, I mean, we did save money letting the streets department level it, which we already did. It's already prepared, ready to go.
Looks good. Looks very even and nice. That's why I was asking, could you not lightly, like the soil you're going to use now, lightly dust it and then seed it?
Yeah.
You know, can you look into that?
I can look into it. I just think that we're going to probably have some problems there being in the open like that, and that's such a big area like that. I think it's, I mean, Assad is a very cheaper grass than St. Augustine and everything else.
Yeah. Okay. Public comment? Did we do public comment? Public comment, open to the public? Okay. Hearing none, seeing none, I'll close the public comment. Final question from council. Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Councilwoman Fairclough McCormick?
No.
Councilman Shelley? Councilman Williams?
No.
Vice Mayor Burgess?
No.
Mayor Bateman?
No.
Motion failed.
Okay. Bid award installing new curbing and median area. Let's get something. And number 14. I entertain a motion to move it on.
Move it.
Second.
Second.
Staff report.
Mayor, staff recommends the bid be awarded to the Redland Company. The second lowest bidder is the most responsive bidder for installation of new curbing and median along Northwest 1st Avenue from Northwest 8th to Northwest 19th Street. The scope of the project is to prepare and install 10,000 linear feet of 6 by 12 trenched, extruded type B curbing along the median on Northwest 1st Avenue from Northwest 8th Street to Northwest 19th Street. Total cost of the project is estimated at $80,000.
Questions, motion to move it, question from council? Who was the low question? Oh. Sure, go ahead.
Mr. Manager, was this the lowest bidder?
No, the lowest bidder was Homestead Concrete and Drainage.
Oh. All right. And is there any reason why we didn't go with the lowest bidder?
We felt that the prices were within the same range. They were slightly lower, but not by much. And in consideration of the total scope of the project, and we feel that the customer service with Redland has been good in recent projects, and we'd like to use them.
Okay, thank you.
Let me ask, while we're on that, what was the slight difference?
On $80,000 roughly, it was, Julio, $2,500?
The difference was $2,500.
$2,500 difference.
On $80,000 project.
I don't have a problem with that. Alrighty. Any final questions from council? I'll open the public hearing. Any questions from the public? Any? Hearing no, seeing none, close the public hearing. Final questions from council? Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Councilman Shelley?
Yes.
Councilman Williams?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Burgess?
Yes.
Councilwoman Fairclough McCormick?
Yes.
Mayor Bateman?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Tab 15, bid number 2012-19, City of Homestead. Thank God, welcome signs.
Incoming!
I'll move it, but I don't believe it.
I don't either. Okay, we got a motion in a second. Okay, staff report.
City Manager recommends the award of bid number 2012-19 to Creative Impressions for the purchase and installation of the City of Homestead welcome signs in the amount of $33,832. The signs are to be placed on 4 locations identified as entrances to the city. Vendor will have 90 calendar days from the notice to proceed to complete the project. 90.
On the 91st day, Julio's got to move out there and hold a sign that says, "Welcome to Homestead."
So we have the motion, we have the second, we have the staff report. Questions from council?
No, I just have a comment. There are several welcome signs throughout the city that says, "Welcome, City of Homestead," and to me, that's not grammatically correct. So if it can say, "Welcome to the City of Homestead," as opposed to "Welcome, City of Homestead."
Welcome, y'all.
The design feature, unless you'd like something different, would be Homestead welcomes you.
Oh.
If you're okay with that, then that's what we'll go with.
And we're still with the original structure, right?
Yes.
Big, you said original shape.
It was just a question of material that we were getting a hard time getting that approved by the county, so we had to switch to a different material.
Mr. Mayor? Yes, just clarification. On this sign, it says Homestead welcomes you, but there are existing signs that do state, as Councilwoman Fairclough McCormick does. Are those going to be replaced by these signs, or can we make sure that those also read correctly if they're going to be remaining?
I think these are the ones that are going to replace those existing signs. They're on Campbell Drive, 137th Avenue, and on US 1, both north and south. So those are the 4 signs.
Okay, thank you. Okay, open the public hearing. Any questions from the public? Hearing none, seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Final questions from council. Okay, Madam Clerk?
Councilman Williams?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Burgess?
Yes.
Councilwoman Fairclough McCormick?
Yes.
Councilman Shelley?
Yes.
Mayor Bateman?
Yes. Okay.
Motion carried.
Thank you. Bid number 2012-21, emergency efficiency lighting, retrofit for City Hall. Retrofit AC. Okay, thank you. Second?
Second.
Okay, staff report.
Mayor, staff recommends the mayor and council approve the award of the bid for the energy-efficient lighting retrofit at City Hall to the lowest, most responsive bidder, Tri-City Electric Co., Inc. Total project cost is $74,814. In addition, staff recommends authorizing Electric Utilities Department to allocate an additional 15%, $11,222, for any unforeseen conditions that might arise, and to spend any of the additional funds if deemed necessary by the city manager. Contingency allocation will not grant any entitlement to the contractor, but will simply enable the department and city manager process small change orders, if any, without incurring any delays.
Questions from council? Okay, open the public hearing. Any questions from the public? Hearing none, seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Final questions from council. Madam Clerk?
Vice Mayor Burgess?
Yes.
Councilwoman Fairclough McCormick?
Yes.
Councilman Shelley?
Yes.
Councilman Williams?
Yes.
Mayor Bateman?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay. It says next item, City Attorney.
This is a resolution of the City Council of the City of Homestead, Florida, providing for approval of the lease of an entryway feature between the City of Homestead, Florida and the Villages of Homestead Homeowners Association.
Move it.
Florida Not-for-Profit Corporation, authorizing the city manager to negotiate the terms of the lease, authorizing the city manager and city attorney to take all action necessary and sign all documents necessary to implement the terms of the lease, providing for an effective date.
Okay, we got a motion and a second. Okay. Second. We totally understand staff report. Questions from council? Hooray. I'll open the public hearing. Any questions from the public? Okay, thank you guys for waiting so long. Okay, I'll close the public hearing. Any final questions from council? Okay, Madam Clerk?
Councilwoman Fairclough McCormick?
Yes.
Councilman Shelley?
Yes.
Councilman Williams?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Burgess?
Yes.
Mayor Bateman?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you. Resolution.
Thank you, Mayor. A resolution of the City Council of the City of Homestead, Florida, approving an amended and restated Shores Homestead Fill Agreement, authorizing execution of the agreement by the city manager and providing for an effective date.
Motion.
Move it.
Thank you. Second.
Second.
Thank you. Staff report. Okay. Anybody need one? You don't need one? Need one? Yes, ma'am.
Good evening. I'm Gail Sirota from Weiss Sirota Healthman, and I'm the author of the agreement. And if there are any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Questions from council? Hearing none, seeing none? Okay, thank you. This time, we'll open the public hearing. Any questions from the public? Hearing none, seeing none, we'll close the public hearing. Any final questions from council? Madam Clerk?
Councilman Shelley?
Yes.
Councilman Williams? Absent. Vice Mayor Burgess?
Yes.
Councilwoman Fairclough McCormick?
Yes.
Mayor Bateman?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. A resolution of the City Council of the City of Homestead, Florida, providing for approval of the contract for purchase between MCNA Properties 4, LLC, a Florida limited liability company, and the City of Homestead, Florida, authorizing the city manager and city attorney to take all action necessary and sign all documents necessary to implement the terms of the contract, providing for an effective date.
Motion?
Move it.
Thank you. Second?
Second.
Thank you. Staff report?
Mayor, staff recommends the mayor and council accept the proposal of MCNA Properties to transfer to the city a 13,600 square foot vacant lot located at 191 Northwest 11th Street, having folio number 10-7812-001-0270.
Okay, thank you. Questions from the council? Okay. I'll open the public hearing. Questions from the public? Hearing none, seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Final questions from council. Madam Clerk?
Vice Mayor Burgess?
Yes.
Councilwoman Fairclough McCormick?
Yes.
Councilman Shelley?
Yes.
Mayor Bateman?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Item tab 20, resolution.
Thank you, Mayor. Resolution of the City Council of the City of Homestead, Florida, accepting the grant award and authorizing the execution of the agreement between the City of Homestead and the Miami-Dade County Office of Management and Budget, and providing for an effective date.
Okay, motion. Move it. Thank you. Second?
Second.
Okay. Questions from council? Okay, I'll open the public hearing. Any questions from the public? Hearing none, seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Final questions from council. Madam Clerk?
Councilman Shelley?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Burgess?
Yes.
Councilwoman Fairclough McCormick?
Yes.
Mayor Bateman?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay. Business from the city attorney.
Good night, Mayor. Thank you very much.
Thank you for sitting in for Richard.
My pleasure.
It's always a pleasure to see you. Mr. Attorney.
Just to remind everybody, we'll need a brief closed-door session on PBA contract negotiations.
Please. You're joking, right?
Hopefully it won't take more than a few minutes.
Okay, Mayor and Council. Mr. Williams is gone, Mr. Maldonado is not here, Ms. Wallman's gone. Ms. Fairclough?
Yes. One item, summary. I have had the opportunity to sit in on several presentations from internal auditing firms who are very much interested in acquiring this engagement from the City of Homestead. Those firms were Grant Thornton, for the record, Moore, Stevens and Lovelace, McGladrey, Cherry, Beckert and Holland, and I will be meeting this Friday with Verdeja and DeArmas. I would like some direction from this council as far as, would you like for me to provide a recommendation on the top-ranked firm? I spent a lot of time and talent along with our city manager, assistant city manager Allison Love and Carlos Perez. I took the time because I wanted to ensure that the internal auditing firm that we ultimately select can provide a value-added service to the city and who has experience with performing internal audit functions for government agencies. So I've also contacted various municipalities who they have worked with to get a recommendation to ensure that they are quality firms because the city so desperately needs that. After Friday, I am prepared to provide you with the recommendation of the top-ranked firm based on the presentations of their proposals, or I'm prepared to provide you a recommendation of the top two firms, have them come before us and make a presentation so as a body we can determine which firm we will ultimately select. So whatever you would like for me to do, I'm prepared to proceed in that direction.
Yeah, I personally believe that we all need to sit down on this. This is something that the council hires and fires,
right.
And no different than the manager, no different than the city clerk, no different than the city attorneys. So I think it needs to be together, a collective decision. It may not have to be all five or whatever it is, but I would think three at least is my opinion. We should sit down and interview them just as we did the other three employees.
I totally agree.
So I think we pick a date.
Right.
You figure the date out
Right.
and give us the date, and the people that show.
And I feel very comfortable with that because I didn't want to just put forth a recommendation and just arbitrarily select an internal auditing firm. I think all of us should have a fair say in the process. So I will do just that. I will coordinate with my team, and we'll bring together the top 3 firms, and trust me, they will be the top 3, and we'll move forward with selecting from those 3.
And I think it usually ends up a very sensitive thing. I know with the city clerk at the end, it was, so I would really think that it should be probably no more than management staff would be the city manager, and that we collectively sit there and make a decision, as simple as that.
I mean the coordination aspect of it, because Carlos assisted me very well with the appointments and times and things of that sort. So they will assist me with coordinating times that are mutually beneficial for all of us.
Yeah, but typically what we've done in the past, and I know I'm saying this because you're new on the council, is that we've either stacked 5 of them up at one afternoon, or 3 of them up at one afternoon, and we interviewed them one after another, so that they were fresh in front of us, and then we made a decision, typically that day, on the spot.
All right.
Okay. All right, then we'll look forward to the date very soon. I think we've accomplished another big thing that other councils have not yet accomplished in the past. Councilman Shelley?
I just have, I guess, 3 quick things, just announcements. Councilwoman Waldman asked me to announce the It's a Dog Party, which is the grand opening of the dog park at Mayor Roscoe Warren Park, taking place March 31st at 11 a.m. I guess there's parades and prizes for best dog costumes, refreshments for doggies and peoples, and games and pet adoptions with This Is the Dog. So she wanted me to announce that. The other thing I want to announce is that we had the Northwest Town Hall meeting, and at that meeting a lot of the residents requested to help facilitate a crime watch group for the Northwest District. So on Wednesday, April 25th, 2012 at the William Dickinson Community Center at 6:30 p.m. we will be holding a kind of preliminary meeting to get those parties together in the Northwest to form a crime watch committee if they would like, and all my fellow council members are welcome to attend if they'd like to be there. It's my understanding this is going to be a public notified meeting to allow all of you to attend and participate in that if you would like to do so. And then just a reminder again that the Augusto event is taking place April 21st on downtown Chrome Avenue, which is from 6 to 10 p.m. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Burgess?
In lieu of what time it is, we still have a closed-door meeting. I'll forego any comments.
Okay, thank you. I only have 1 or 2, and that is the Sally Wood Memorial is ready and prepared. April 3rd. Dennis, do you want to comment at all on that?
Mayor, it was completed on Monday, and I want notify Lourdes that we can go ahead and start the ceremony, and what would be a good date for the council to go ahead and do that. It is prepared and ready to go.
Okay. I'd ask council to think about a date, something that it's appropriate, maybe even involve the Rodeo Association in the date that we look for, so that them and others that we announce to. So maybe even 30 days from now or 2 weeks from now, so that we have the proper time to get the message out, so that everyone who knew her and of course loved her will be there at that ceremony. Okay?
Will do.
Okay, thank you so much. National Library Week, I'm just going to pass it on to everyone here at our library right next door. It's April 2nd through the 13th. They're asking for us to spend some time reading to the young students. April 9th, 11 a.m., April 5th, 11 a.m. Last but not least, at our CAL meeting on the 3rd, we'll discuss the main topic. One of the main topics will be the centennial event, the 100-year birthday of the city of Homestead. So I asked the council to think about it, think about who the players should be in the entire community, the farmers, the military, the educational fields, the schools, et cetera, who needs to be involved in the planning of this, and we'll work on planning dates up to the final kickoff date, which could piggyback off some of the big items we have coming up, like the NASCAR event, the air show, and then right on into our festivities during Christmas, and right on into the Martin Luther King normal parade that we have. These are items that we can piggyback off of. So keep kind of open your thought process up and think about what we should do to bring to the table. Who should come to the table? Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah, I just had a comment on that issue. Sure. Okay. Mr. Mayor, the thing I was going to raise on this issue, I was given some information by someone that I guess they put together, the city had, at some time in the past, there was a committee that met. They spent, I guess, a substantial sum of money to put together some sort of a plan. I have no idea what that plan is, but I didn't know if maybe if staff could look into that to see what has currently already been funded and exists. We may decide we want to go with it, we may not go with it. I don't know anything about the plan itself.
Well, I had a brief conversation with the manager and Begonia, and we talked. The manager really is pretty well in tune on this because they did their 100 in Fort Lauderdale, and 120,000 people, and they spent over $250,000. So I really think that we, the council, should stay involved, heavily involved, even though we have a lot of subcommittees. Stay involved as far as the pricing and dollar amount and where we want to go with it.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I just didn't know if we already had a blueprint in place that we paid for. I didn't know if it was worth trying to find and look and see if there was a viable blueprint or whether we should just start from scratch.
We can do the research so you have as part of the information package for the county.
So that's raised, because someone pointed it out to me, I just raised it as a
Just a comment, a point of contact on that would be former Councilwoman Nazi Sierra, who had spent a considerable amount of time back in '08, I think, maybe '07 or '08, working on that, and had a firm come in and everything, so there should be something around, but if you can't find anything, she might be a point of contact that we can get. Thank you. Sure.
Okay. Any final questions or concerns? Okay.
Mayor?
Yes.
Just to let Mr. Shelley know that I do have the minutes for that tourism committee that you're talking about. I just got it tonight about the 100th anniversary.
Okay, well, maybe we'll just involve and bring that to the Cal meeting, all right? And we'll talk about it. All right. Any final questions? If not, motion to adjourn? Okay. Second? All right, all in favor? All right, we're out of here. Next meeting.